So we are officially in the dollar stage, and what that means for us is that it is time to go to battle. Like you know how the movie starts, and when it's time to go to battle, you need to you need to strategize so that you don't lose the battle. Um, because truly, a lot of people lose the battle, but for us, we want everybody here to win the battle. Um, So the strategy for us to win the battle is what we're going to talk about today. It will reinforce what you've done so far with your resume. That was the most important part of the assessment you got last week. And thank you all for everybody that attempted it as usual. If you have not, I can't say it enough. You're really just underselling yourself if you've not, because it's one more thing for you to do. Again, none of those assessments are really about me, about you, and it fits into everything we'll be doing going forward. With that being said, I'm going to walk us through. So yeah, all of you that have done the resume, uh, but it is now time to learn more about strategic thinking on how you need to navigate developing your resume, the role of ATS, attacking the market, things like that, that would set you up for success. And trust me, we research the market, we research the Australian job landscape inside market, so we know what works, what does not work. Yes, all online is left out. We look at what's happening in the UK as well. As I said last week, we would partner you up with one of our alumni now to share our strategy. Um, with that being said, please turn on your camera. Um, this is super important. Super important. If you normally have distractions, I would say, please, this is the difference between how quickly you get that 120,000, 140,000 offer, you know, and if you get it in 1 month or 2 months or whatever, depending on how you also pursue it. So we'll be talking about that today. Please pay attention, block out every distraction you have. As at the end of this class today, we want you to be so skilled about, yes, I know how I'm going to take accountability and start to sow the seed of the application, start to apply so that when we come tomorrow and we talk about your project and how you need to go and sell yourself, you already have that base. So as you're applying, even if interviewer calls you, you're able to answer their question that will position you for getting interviewed and getting a job in a couple of weeks. At this stage now, you've been exposed to the base knowledge of what you need to do as a business analyst. Um, we've talked about everything you need to do the job, and we're not saying it from a place of arrogance. We're telling you because we have, as you know, many students in different domains across the world, so whether you are in China or you are in US, UK, Australia, Nigeria, anywhere you are, the base knowledge that you need to do this job effectively, you've been equipped with. Now, to what degree do I understand all the things that are being said, or what questions do I have? You will get those questions answered when you revise it a couple of times, and it's like you get to mastery. Like with any skill you want to learn, it comes with many hours of practice. So that will be an ongoing thing. But for now, we want you to start to plant the seed of the offer that we're going to get. with that being said, Tayo is going to walk us through um, Tayo is going to walk us through the strategy, CV, ATS, the tools that we will use to optimize our chances, because we're not going to leave it to guesswork. And this works anywhere, basically. Um, we charge people that are not our students to have this session and to work with them to get this result. So you're here, please listen, and let's not listen. So when you watch it again, it's just you're implementing it. All right, so I'll pass it to Tayo. Tayo, let's kick on when you're ready.
All right, thank you. How's everyone feeling this morning, this evening? Are we all good? It's a little bit, it's very quiet. How is everyone doing?
Good, good, good. It's been a while we heard you teach.
Thank you, Cosma. Are you Yoruba?
No, I'm Igbo.
So you speak a lot of Yoruba. Do you understand Yoruba very much?
It's Lagos City, Lagos State.
I always
You have
wondered
to survive.
if you were Yoruba or not, but your
No,
name
I'm Igbo.
obviously gives it away.
Yeah.
All right, team, I believe we can all see my screen.
Yep.
Okay, let's pop it in the reading view so it's nice and clear. Okay, so I see a couple of cameras turned off. If we could please turn it on, that would be really, really good. Now, today's session really, just to Noah's point around the fact that it's the dollar stage. It really is the dollar stage. So you guys have done amazing work, brilliant work, just sticking with us in the last couple of weeks, turning up for your classes, to the ones who were very dedicated with the assessment, and just really showing up and giving it your very best. Now, all of those things all ties back to one thing, which is you securing a job. And it's our job to ensure that you get a job, even if you don't want to. So there's going to be a lot of push from us, for lack of a better word, because you have to get a job. That's the promise. And you do need to get a job. You will be equipped with all of the things that you need. And this is the starting point. How many of us have applied to a job before and like before you even blink, you get, unfortunately, we've gone with another candidate? If that's happened to you in the past, just show of hands. I can see Tijeri. And who else can I see? Adiza. Yes, Adiza, I can see. Now, that can happen, Bukola as well, thank you. That can happen, right? But this session is really, focusing towards us being able to reduce that to a very, very good levels, in such a way that you are not, shooting, just pouring water in an empty basket. I do apologize for the background noise. So yes, so this session is to ensure that we will be reducing the all, unfortunately, as much as possible, and you increase your chances of pitching yourself to a recruiter. Now, with that said, we're going to go through what do you need to have on your resume, what are the things that you should not have on that resume, and what's the strategy to ensure that that resume is optimized for success. Success means you will get called by a recruiter. Now, that doesn't just happen by itself, right? So it won't happen just by luck or just by chance. You would have to put in some work to reduce you having to send out applications for like a month or 2 or 3. So at least even if you go into that interview and it doesn't come out as expected, you've learned something, which oftentimes can make all the difference in preparation for your destination, preparation for, where you need to go to. Now, the lady with the essential contract did say something when I caught up with her, and it really caught my attention. She said, every time that I went for an interview and it didn't go as planned, I saw it as a lesson, and I used that to build my ability to actually speak very confidently during an interview. And just imagine that at the end of the day, she's, ending up with like a really, really big enterprise that's coming with like a lot of perks. What's my point? Even if you attend an interview, you've prepared, you may not be selected for that job, and that's fine, but please don't see it as a reflection of your ability or what you've done or what you haven't done. I mean, in some cases, it's probably very obvious that you haven't quite hit the nail on the head, but that's not to say that you shouldn't keep pushing. So please, this is very important. The journey is going to be really interesting. Everyone's going to be moving at their own pace, but always remember that you can get there faster if you take into consideration all of the strategies that we'll be talking about. All right. Today, we're going to be starting with what we call the ATS. If you've heard of ATS before, please just give me a thumbs up. And the reason we're going to be talking about the applicant tracking system today is because most times, most organizations do not have the time, or it simply is not a good use of time for them to manually sift out the best candidate. I'll give you an example. I'm currently recruiting for a video editor for Justin Solutions / Sync Skills. I'm bombarded with like lots of applications, and I'm just like, where do I start from? Oftentimes I start from the most recent one, check their portfolio, see if it meets the criteria. Now, that's not the most efficient way to do it, because I could have lost out on a really good candidate that sent the application, like, when I didn't have time to check it. Again, it's the same thing in organizations where they simply don't have the time to swarm the like 300 applications. They need to put a system in place. And that's where the applicant tracking system comes in. So it really helps them to narrow down that process where they would be able to filter through their candidate based on their requirement. So for example, if they're looking for someone who is very, very good at, writing test cases, someone who is extremely good with elicitation techniques, someone who has done it for years, someone who has got, experience working on CRM project, etc. They would impute all of those variables into their software or, whatever tool that they're using. If I send that resume, even though I'm skilled and I can do the job, and Cosmas optimized his resume to the point where the ATS can match those keywords that they fed the system, I may not get called because according to the system, I do not meet the criteria that the organization is looking for. So they trash my resume in the bin because it's not a good use of their time, or because Cosmos's resume has got all of the details that they're looking for. He's got experience on, working on CRM projects. He's got it on his resume. He has highlighted his requirement elicitation, technique skills. He has done all of those, literally fed the system what the system is looking for. His chances are very high. So that's the whole point. In simple terms, that's the role of the ATS. It is to help organizations just rank and filter through the resume in comparison to the position description, which we'll get into. Which we'll get into. So that's extremely important. Does anyone have any question on what the applicant tracking system does or what it means? Are we all clear? Like, do we have a good understanding of what the system does?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Okay, so this is going to be a foundation of what you need to keep in mind is that it would, screen out at least 70% of resumes, not because they're not qualified, simply because it doesn't quite match what the system it has been, told to look for. Even look at for people that use iPhone, for example, when you prompt Siri some questions, because Siri doesn't have that capability to answer all of your questions, it will tell you that it doesn't have an answer. So it doesn't quite match the data that they fed the system to be able to provide on a very high level. So it's the same thing. Now, we want to ensure that our resume does not fall in the bracket of 70% plus that may get trashed in the bin. Now, what are the things that we need to keep in mind? How do we beat the ATS? You may wonder, how do I go past the ATS? Because the ATS in itself is not your enemy. You just need to work your way around trying to get the best way on how you marry your resume with the position description, which we would, get into. But I think it's really important that we talk about the role of the ATS and what are the strategies that we need to put in place to be able to, to stand a good chance with the ATS. Now, so like I said, the ATS would be the system. There are lots of, different applicant tracking systems. So, but for this session, we're just going to bracket all of them under the, word ATS. They feed the system with specific keywords that are very important to that role that they're looking for. And it just ensures that when you and I are reading the job description, which is why sometimes we're not very happy or we're not very comfortable with you popping your resume or you just contracting out your applications to someone to do it for you. Because the danger in that is you would not know what that job is specifically looking for, especially some organizations may not send you the position description and you may not find it on Seek anymore at the time they call you. So it's always very important that you take your time to read your job description. Don't just look at, this job is paying 1,500 per hour, just throw in the application. I mean, the money is good, but don't just focus on the money when you start to apply, when you start to throw out those applications. You cannot just look at $800 per day. This looks good. I will just put in my resume. You want to focus on some important things, specific keywords or phrases. Now, when we go on Seek, when we start to do that exercise, you would see like key things that the recruiter is looking for. They may say something like, someone who has got proficiency with Microsoft Excel, for example, or they may say someone who has got experience facilitating workshops, interviews, someone who, has a very good proficiency with Jira and Confluence. So you would see those key things that they're looking for. Those are your guiding factor to ensure that your resume is directly talking about those things that they're looking for. So extremely important to keep that in mind. Now, does anyone have any questions in relation to job listing, in relation to the ATS, in relation to position description? Any questions at all? So I'm going to take that as too complex or too annoying. Guys, no response. Please, can you please respond? Like, is it sounding too much? Is it sounding like not doable? Fred, you're smiling. Why?
Yeah, I think I can clearly hear you. So,
all right, thank you. Does anyone have any questions before we keep going? Everyone seemed like super cold. No one is really excited about
I don't
this.
think that it's because you're hitting the nail now. So most people are just processing it. So like we want to know,
internalizing everything.
yeah, we want to know like what's next. Is it like a paid subscription or you like
we'll get there.
Actually, in the video there was a video last week that was uploaded. So I think everybody must have listened to or watched the video before. So I think that's why people are just keeping quiet, like, okay, let's get fresh on it or fresh things.
All right, thank you. Because this stage is extremely important, and if you do it well, trust me, you will be learning how to draft rejection letter because you will be swamped with lots of offers. So it's really important. That's why I'm double checking. But thank you guys for for your input. So basically, we're talking about the power of keywords. So you will be guided by what the keywords are once you read the position description. And there are lots of tools that we can use as well, like because acknowledging that some of you guys are very new in this field, and you may not be able to right off the bat spot what those keywords are. ChatGPT is your friend to help you in like what are the keywords in this job description. So we'll get to how you can leverage AI to get all of those little details. But in summary, what I'm trying to say is you have to do your keyword research. For me, for some of you guys, based on the learnings, depends on how complex it is. You may be able to fully grasp it and say, oh, requirement gathering or UAT or this and that. You can pop that on your resume in a nice and organic and, in a way that it doesn't look like you're just putting a sentence that doesn't quite fit. Sorry, you're just putting a word in a sentence that doesn't fit. Now, so we also need to, remember that some of those critical words need to appear at least 2 or 3 times to really show that you can do this, or to really show that you've done it before. Now, I've seen this time on time, what I'm about to say, and I don't want you guys to make that mistake. Do not copy and paste the job description into your resume, all in the name of trying to beat the ATS. Please. That's simply, that we don't want you guys to do that, because the system is very smart as well. If you fed the same word that they've put, there's no originality there, there's no measurable outcome, they can't really understand how you fit into the puzzle. So please, mirror the position description. Do not copy and paste it directly. It's boring. It's not a good reflection of the good work that you've been doing in the last couple of weeks. Another thing that I would like to mention is this is not a game of synonyms. Okay, so don't try and, how, for people that schooled in Nigeria, when they give you like this exercise in English language where you have to do summary. So you kind of need to look at the sentence and summarize it in your own words, playing with synonyms and all of those things. This one's different. You need to use the exact word. So analytical skills, as the example that I've given, analytical skills is different from strong analytical skills. Do we all agree? Do we agree? Yes or no? If I say I'm good at English language, or someone else says, oh, I'm actually very proficient at this, is there any difference?
Yes, there's a difference.
Exactly, thank you. So if the job description is looking for someone with strong communication skills or strong analytical skills, whilst you on your resume, you've got analytical, which is fine, the system may not be able to recognize that, because perhaps the variable that they fed the system is, can you scan through all the resumes that have got strong analytical skills within them? So you want to ensure that you are using those exact words, but the application of it will get into it. So it's not just popping strong analytical skills in a sentence that doesn't make sense. Please remember, even though you're trying to beat the ATS, your resume will still get to a human table. But my point is, it doesn't get to a human table in the first instance. It goes through this process of filtering and ranking to help them, be more efficient, to help them. It just makes sense. Like I gave the example, I think I recall there was a time we were recruiting developers, and literally we were swamped with like 800 applications. No one's going through that. Like no one's going to go through 800 applications. We sort of like tried to outsource people to go through those applications, like even those failed, and we could have missed out on a really, really good candidate. Right. So organizations, again, they don't have that time. The system in place to help them do that. And you and I would ensure that we optimize our resume to get what we want. Always remember 2 things. 1, I need to get my resume to a human table. I need it to actually get to a person's table, like the recruiter, to read it. Which is why it is important that whenever you're feeding those keywords, you are not just feeding bullocks, for lack of a better word. You want to make sure that it makes sense. When you read it, it's logical, it makes sense, people can understand it, because eventually when it gets to a human table, they read it, it's like, oh, this is not adding up. They put you at the bottom of the list. I've been very privy to, be a part of a recruitment process in my company, and I was working very directly with the program director. And now she had 5 resumes that had been given to her. She was only going to have time to interview 3 of them. All 5 of them were good, but she chose the first 3. Now she's got 2 as a backup. If those first 3 do not meet expectations, she'll go to the next 2. But if they did, they're not going to call those people back. So you always want to ensure that when your resume is being read, it makes sense. And now you want to ensure that you're including relevant skills and experience. I haven't really seen a lot of resume from you guys, which I think is quite brilliant, that has something like disability support worker, or that's got something like, I think I saw one that's got sales rep or something like that. those things are not relevant. I appreciate that they are your experience, but please, there's no need to have them on your resume because it's confusing. It doesn't add a lot of value. It's taking up space. So you only want to pop in relevant skills. Do not, please do not include your support coordinator experience or your youth work experience or any of that jazz that you've been doing before. Relevant skills and experience to that job, and you can leverage the template which we've shared with you. And by the time you get your feedback, it's going to make a lot of sense to you on like how you can restructure things and really modify things. Recall that I mentioned that we can do keyword research with ChatGPT. That's just to help us if you've got some time, because I don't want you guys to see this as a very clunky process. There's two parts to this. You can do the first part if you understand it. I mean, like if you've listened to all of the techniques, frameworks, all of the things that you've been introduced in the last couple of weeks, you can pretty much see a job ad and sort of like identify what the key things are. But in saying that, you can leverage ChatGPT as well. So I've put the steps here on the slide, which we can all see is really to prompt it to suggest to you what are the most relevant keywords in this job description. That way, you are sort of like simplifying things for yourself. You will then tell ChatGPT, I think I put the phrase in here, so could you please identify the top 10 keywords in this job description for a senior business analyst role, if the role is a senior business analyst role. And if it's just a business analyst role as well, you prompt it accordingly, right? So you would try to put those keywords in your resume, but you don't have to do that by yourself. You don't have to do it alone. You don't have to keep racking your head. You can tell ChatGPT to help you with, can you please use this keyword to, or if you say maybe product innovation or something, can you make a sentence with this word for a business analyst who is, applying for this role in this domain, something like that. And it would really help you to come up with a nice word, and you can tweak it to make it sound human. So oftentimes when I see ChatGPT written document, I know, because sometimes it lacks emotions and you just can't see through the person that has written it. So I want to ensure that you are not just blindly following ChatGPT. Use it as a guide and put it in simple English, in English that makes sense. Sometimes ChatGPT just packs a bunch of English to you that you just can't really see. Like it loses the actual context and the meaning is what I'm trying to communicate. A lot of you guys probably have experience with it, but for me personally, yeah, it's really important that your resume is still readable. When it gets to a human table, they can see, oh, Tejiri has actually done a really good job. This is believable, rather than putting something that looks out of place all in the name of beating ATS. There are lots of people, it's quite competitive as well, but you stand a very good chance if your resume is optimized, and most importantly, you are ready for that interview, which are the things that would introduce you to. But we'll build very slowly. We talk about how you can start to apply, and then we'll guide you on what do you need to say during that interview for you to stand out. Does anyone have any questions on these steps? Are we all familiar with ChatGPT? We all use it now, don't we? A couple of you guys just copy and paste ChatGPT for your assessment. I smile. You're shaking your head. Why? Tell me.
I mean, with ChatGPT is whatever you put in that it will bring out. So it depends on what you ask it to do that you get out.
Yeah, so the prompt is key. And then you do that extra work to make it like, okay, I don't want it to sound very robotic. And there are systems in place now that can identify documents that are AI generated. So you always want to ensure that you're not just, popping everything GPT tells you. So we want to focus on feeding ATS algorithm. We want to increase our chances, and we're going to ensure that the keywords that we're popping into the system is relevant to the job description and our experience. This one's probably not too major. This one is just really about your resume and the structure, what it does need to look like. The reason that I quite love this is because you don't need to stress in making your resume look pretty or like overly designed, almost as though you're doing an expo flyer. There's no need for graphics, there's no need for drawings, there's no need for colors and all of that things. You want to ensure that your resume is well formatted, like it's got a good layout for when it gets to a human table so that they can read it. The danger in this is if you've popped your resume in a table or a graph or in a chart, it's hard for the ATS to actually look at what you have in your resume. It may not see the information, or it may not appear even though it's on your resume, because it's in a table or because you've just drawn lines across it. So that may come off as probably you know, incompatible or no information found or something like that. So you want to keep your resume nice and tidy. There's no need for graphics, there's no need for over designing, which saves you a lot of time. For people that are not very familiar with Microsoft Word, when you pop things in your header and your footer, it's away from the actual core information on that document. So you want to ensure that things like your name, your phone number, your address is not on that header or the footer. The danger is that the ATS may not be able to find the name or find your email address or find your contact number or even match you to like a location that is relevant to what you need to do. So it's, again, please do not use the header and footer for anything. Just leave it as it is. Write your name where it needs to be. Do we all know what header and footer is on a Word doc? Yeah, I'm seeing a couple of nods. I'm hoping that we all do, and we don't. Anyway, your resume is going to come to us for review, so we'll be able to assess if you popped it in a header or footer. Ayobami seems like, are you in the cloudy room? It looks like you're in a movie. It's giving graphics.
My camera is not good. That's why.
Oh no, we need to fix this before you start going for interview, lest you scare them away. What's
Yeah,
the problem? What's the problem with your camera?
I think I pasted a sticky tape. I removed the sticky tape that was on the system and I pasted it unknowingly, and then the gum has made a
Oh
mess.
no. So you need to clean it with something that takes off,
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's fine. I just wanted to be sure that you're in class because I couldn't see you properly. Anyway, so yes, so in our approach to beat the bot, we don't want to pop our resume into a table. We don't want to overly design the resume. It looks pretty, but pretty is not what you're looking for, right? You're looking for that 130 job. You're looking to get called so you can pitch yourself to the recruiter. So my focus would solely be on ensuring that, I've used the standard font. My resume has got the right sequence. It's got the right layout. It's easy to read. I'm not things are not left aligned and right aligned and central justified. Like everything is like well aligned and super justified, which is good. Because again, remember, this is going to get to a human table. And if it's hard for them to read, you just put it on one side and look at the second option that they have. Another thing that I've seen time on time is sometimes people put in their job information without the month and the year. The danger in this is if this particular job is looking for someone with 5 to 6 years of experience, because you don't have those dates on your resume, they are really unable to analyze your years of experience. So that may come off as 0 year of experience. And what that does is you may not fit into the puzzle. So it's always good that whilst you're putting your experience in a reverse chronological order, you want to pop in the month and the year. So something like, 10, 2024, right? Or 11, 2025. So that's extremely important. And this is the sequencing as per the template which we've provided. So the company name, the city and state, or even just like the state if you want, what was your role? Was it a business analyst? Was it a senior business analyst? What did you do? Because again, the job title helps us to understand that, oh yes, okay, Ayobami has been a senior business analyst in the last 5 years, according to this resume. It fits into the bracket of who we're looking for. Let's give him a call. Let's see what he's got for us. So again, the formatting, Word document or PDF, it's always good. For me, PDF is nice. my preference is Word doc, but either way is fine. Either whatever it is that you do is fine. Again, the ATS is not sensitive to the resume length, but you always want to be very, very careful. You don't want 7 pages of resume all in the name of you want to just put in all of the information. Remember, once it gets a human table and they see 7 pages, it's like, bro, what are you recruiting for? President of Australia. So you want to be careful that it's not like it's easy to read, 1 to 2 pages is decent. 3, max. But yeah, my preference would be 2 pages. That's quite decent. It's easy to digest. Now, this one is very key. Everything that we've said today would be peculiar to a specific job description. Your resume is not going to be a one-size-fits-all. So you wouldn't say, oh, I've optimized my resume for Mata Group, for example. Then you pop in that same resume for Combank. That won't work because Combank and Mata Group would be looking for different things. Most times they're looking for different, level of skills, level of experience. If you're being recruited for a particular project, as an example, they would pop in, some of those key skills that anyone who would be successful on that project should have. So your resume won't be a one-size-fits-all. You'd have to optimize per job. So you see a job, you read it, the job description, which is the first thing that you do. You will then pop in your resume into the tool that will introduce you to. I know that a lot of people are waiting for, okay, so how do we do this? Don't worry, there are lots of tools, and Think Skills would be giving you this tool as well with all of the credentials that you'd require to log into the tool. So again, your resume is not a one-size-fits-all. Talked about keywords. It's a living document. Hopefully by now we all know what a living document means. And you always want to ensure that it has the right skills, it has the right title. If the job is looking for a senior business analyst, I put senior business analyst on my resume. What I would like you guys to understand is most times the difference between a business analyst and a senior business analyst oftentimes is their years of experience. So if I got recruited as someone with 2 or 3 years of experience, they may hire me as a business analyst. And if Adiza comes and says, I've got 5 to 6 or 7 years of experience, automatically she's a senior business analyst just because of that number of years. Most organizations have that in place. So it's a bracket. This years of experience falls within this, scale, and this years of experience fall into this scale, whilst some organizations don't have. My one, they have it. So if you're like between a year to 3, you would not be considered a senior, to 4, you would not be considered a senior business analyst. The senior would start with someone with more than 5 years of experience because you are considered an expert. If you've worked for 5 years, you've seen and done it. So it doesn't mean that someone with 3 years of experience or someone with 5 years of experience got the job as a senior business analyst and someone with 3 years of experience as a business analyst would do 2 completely different things. They could be working on the same project, but obviously the pay would be different. So they could be doing the same thing. You're just considered more experienced in the fact that you can lead people, you can facilitate, you really understand, like you've got the people skills and you've got that leadership skills to your belt. So that's important. I think in talking about some of the tools that would help us, the number 3 is what I'm going to focus on today. It's called the job scan. So job scan ensures that you're able to put that particular job description, which would, get into the practicality of things very quickly, helps you to optimize your resume. So you would have an opportunity to put in the job description and you would have an opportunity to upload your resume. Once you do that, the job scan will then scan it and give you the details of, okay, what do you have on your resume versus what the job is actually looking for. So that's always very important. The first 2, therefore, when we get into like core interview prep, but we're going to focus on resume first. In the next session, you guys would have access to this deck anyway, so you'd have access to it and you'd be able to click on this link. This one really just helps you to start to practice your interview questions and you get feedback. So things like, tell me about yourself. Can you tell me about the time where you facilitated a workshop? What's your experience with, writing user stories and acceptance criteria? Have you ever facilitated a UAT before? All those things. So Udly would help you to practice at home and you can get feedback. And then you come to Sync Skills, we would do some drilling as well and see how far you've come, which is always good because you want us to drill you and then you go out there and shine like a pro. Because so that's the end of talking. I think it's best to get into the actual, what do we need to do? How do I do this style? Like, how do I optimize my resume? So we're going to get into the actual use. But before we get into it, does anyone have any questions they'd like to ask me? Oh, we're all good. Any questions, any comment, anything I need to be aware of? No questions?
None for now from my end.
No worries. All good.
I'm not talking. What is happening? Is Tyra scaring you guys?
I shouldn't.
I really think she's just direct, so I think everyone is just grasping. And not that you do not speak direct, but Tyler is we just getting it before you come from my neck.
One shot fired.
Customers, I see you. Those people when they set fight for school. No.
I'm not in the class today, I beg.
So not beat about the bush, eh?
What he said so.
Your voice need to soft. Tie your voice soft.
Yeah, we are just enjoying the way our
It make
voice
us
just
relax. But your
yes.
own they make us
I
the
mean,
guy. You dey shine eye for us too much.
yeah.
Especially when you say, wake up.
No. We go do your own. No one once said.
What I'm saying.
Just get those off our face.
You know the class next go. I resign.
All right, guys. That's always a good laugh. Can we all confirm that we can see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so there we have it. The job scan. Look, this has gotten a lot of people their job faster than they should. It has saved a lot of headache. But please remember that you could still do this, or you may do this and still get unfortunately. So the chances are still there. However, you know that you're shooting quality shots to the system. Do we all understand? So don't go around and say, well, Tired showed us job scan, I'm getting flooded with. Unfortunately, that's still going to happen. That's still going to happen. However, you can be, rest assured that your resume is still going to it's going to the right place. It has all of the right information, which is going to increase your chances. Now, this is job scan. Like I said, we would be sharing the credentials with you. You've got the premium packs and all of those amazing things that you can use, but I'll show you how you can navigate your way. And you can see I've got ChatGPT open as well. That's because I want to do some exercise. So we see that I don't want you guys to see this as complex. I actually quite enjoy job applications. I think that if you do them well, you can go to bed feeling relaxed and knowing that when they call me tomorrow, I'm ready to go. So this was my strategy. Look, because this time last year I was on maternity leave and I was on 6-month mat leave, and I knew that I couldn't go back to my old job because I lived in Tassie at that point in time. So now I'm in Brisbane, I've got a 491 visa, which has all of the complexity, as you can imagine. So for me, it was really important I was doing all the right things. And I wanted a job that, even if it's in the city, they've got other branches or they've got other, divisions in other states. So it was really, really important that all the shots that I shot to those specific jobs that I know that they have what I want, it's very quality. You see, sometimes you get the best things out of pain or out of desperation and out of this needs to come to play. And my question that I want you guys to think about post this session is, how badly do you want to become a business analyst and how badly do you want the job? Let that answer be your driver, because if you don't want it very badly, all of these things will sound like Korean language to you, I can assure you. But if you want it very badly, you'd enjoy the process, have fun with it, do all your learnings, and you never have to do this again, at least in another 1 year or two, by the time you're settled on the job. So it's always very important that you're working smart and not working hard. And it's the whole point of this. When I throw out my resume, I know that my resume is optimized. On the layer of that, I'm ready for my interview. I'm ready to talk to this recruiter. I'm ready to pitch to them that they would be insane not to give me the job. So that's the mindset that I want you guys to have. How badly do I want to change my career? How badly do I want to spend more time with my daughter or my son or my child, or even just have my own time to myself? How badly do I want to quit having to work night shift for 72 hours straight? So please, let's remember that. Now, this is a dashboard, and it's got jobs, it's got job tracker, it's got history. So on this app, I know whether you're applying or not. So if I ask you and say, Cosmas, have you been applying? And you say yes, I'm going to put the receipt out and say, look, I haven't seen you scan your resume on JobScan. So it's got those history. You can always refer back to things, and it helps you to be on track and be more organized. So there's not much that I want to bore you with on the dashboard. I'm just going to call your attention to Power Edit, which is what I'm going to be using. So Power Edit has been enabled. So yes, so Power Edit has got AI embedded into it, and it can give me some suggestions of what I want. It's also got if I clicked on New Scan right now, it would take me to where I need to go to. And this is where would create the scan. And once I pop in my resume and my job description, this would stop being grayed out. But before we come back to JobScan, I wanted to show you guys something very important on seek.com.au. But this is jobscan.co. It's got a lot of ATS reviewed ebook. If you're interested in reading a lot of things, it has some ATS friendly resume template as well. So if you pop in your resume into this, it may ask you that do you want to use some of our ATS friendly resume templates which you've prepared. You can click on that, but please note that it's going to alter the formatting of your resume, so you may have to go and redo that in Word. But at least you are now sitting with an optimized resume, which is good. It's also got optimizing your LinkedIn profile for jobs that you want, track your LinkedIn, etc. But today I'm going to be focusing on just let's optimize resume, because I don't want to overwhelm you guys. But we're going to do a quick exercise on seek.com and see what Seek is offering. Do we all know seek.com.au?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Job app.
All right. Thank you. So I'm looking for something. So let's say I've popped in senior business analyst, and I've told Seek that I need a job in Sydney. Now, my focus is not on jobs like this. You see, when you see quick apply, you don't want to put all of your focus on quick apply. I'm not saying that quick apply is wrong, because I can see customers looking at the figures and like, what does she mean not focus on $900 a day? That's not what I'm talking about. That's good. But quick apply are those applications that you do when you're just like chilling or maybe watching Netflix, and you're probably with friends and you saw the job alert pop up. The reason that I'm saying this is because when you quick apply to a job, it sends it to Seek repository. It's sitting in limbo waiting to be picked up. So it's, it may sit there for ages, and recruiters would go in the back end and scout for resumes and do all of those things. So that oftentimes can make the wait very long, which is why our first preference is not quick apply. Once you've done 3 to 5 applications in a day, you can come to quick apply and just put in one of those optimized resume as just freelance. Do you understand? But the serious applications are applications that got something like this. So let me look for one. Something like this. You see this apply? This takes me to the job portal of Blackwoods. And that is where I need to be in their job portal. Joseph.
Yeah. So how do you differentiate quick apply and apply just by looking at those cards?
Yeah, no, I'll tell you how you can. So let's open this in a new tab. And I'm going to open quick apply. Is this a quick apply? So let's open quick apply in a new tab. All right, so you can see that this is still seek.com. This is still like their domain, the details. But if you come to this place, you can see that the domain is different, livehire.com/careers.blackwoods. That means that this has been integrated into their own portal. So it's taking me to a different link. Does that make sense? So even but the quickest way is just once you see quick apply is the same across board. But I wanted to go to that level of, granularity to show you the difference. So this has changed. It's gone to livehire.com/careers. This is no longer on Seek platform. This has taken me to the actual job portal, and that's where I want to go to. So my story around maternity leave, when I was ready, I said, look, I've got 2 mothers with me. I've got lots of help. I think that I can go back to job 3 months postpartum. And I started to put in my applications, but noting that I've got a 491 visa. So for me, I didn't want to get to December, January, because no one works in December. In the corporate space, December is like a chilling period. You're not going to see a lot of, there's no rollouts, no one is working, everyone's just, in Christmas mode, same as January. So I knew that if I didn't start applying when I started applying, for me to go back to work in January, that may get pushed a little bit because December, January is very quiet. There's no recruitment going on. Everyone's on Christmas break. So I knew that it was really important that I was doing everything possible. So to your question, Joseph, you look at the domain. Once it takes me to another portal, a different domain name, that's the giveaway. And if we looked at this is still on seek.com.au. So it's the URL that guides you. Is that clear?
Oh, I don't think
Yes. But does it mean if you go back to seek.com, the main Seek, so does it mean you have to actually click on those jobs to see if it is quick apply or just apply, or there's a way you can just look at those and just can know, okay, this is quick apply, this is just
except even you cannot apply or except you open up the job.
Okay.
So you need to open it, right? So you can't do any application just by looking at it. And this is giving me this view because obviously it's a system. But if you were to be checking this on your phone, it would like list everything. You click on it, you see the job listing, you see the information that you want. And you start to think about, do I have the skills? Do I know how do I ensure that these skills are in my resume? What are the things that I need to keep in mind? And I will just put a disclaimer out there. When you start applying and when you start looking for jobs, there's going to be a couple of, let me say, words or things that you haven't quite done before, or that you haven't heard of, or that we haven't spoken about in class, right? That's not to be, do not take that as a discouraging factor and say, nah, I don't have the skills, I cannot do that job. Do you understand? It's an opportunity for you to learn. You need to always remember that you've got the framework, the technique, the skills for you to be able to, jump on any project at this point in time, obviously with support. And just FYI, just for your information, everyone, we do offer on-job support as well. So when you get the job, you're never alone. So we have different sessions where we check in with experts in the field, experts, they're not experts. So we just ask them, what sort of project are you working on? What are you meant to be delivering? Where you are, just, really checking with them and gaining an understanding of what's happening where they're currently working. So you're never alone. You're going to that job with an army. Like, we're always there with you. You're on Slack. You've got, some of you guys have got our mobiles. You've got the email as well. There's always someone ready to jump on a call with you. Half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, depends on what you need. But we'll focus on us getting to that stage first. I just thought it was really important to talk about that. Now, I want to apply for this business analyst role, and it's Blackwoods. What's the first thing that I do once I see this? I try to read what they're actually looking for. Because when they call me, I have a lot of information in my head. Oftentimes, the first call that you receive is always an opportunity for you to shine. So please don't say, someone just called me. Some of you guys don't pick strange numbers. Please, this is not the time. Once you start sending out application, every number is to be picked. At least you listen to them first. I have a very bad habit. Most times when I see a number that similarly looks like, spam, I just end the call. And I get a lot of comments from my husband, and he would say, Alice, what if it's different? What if it's not spam? So what I'm trying to say is, you want to try and pick it first and hear what they have to say. Perhaps it's going to be, hi, pilot, I'm calling you from Blackwoods. I've just, seen your resume. Have you got 2 minutes for a quick chat? That quick chat is not just a yes, no. Can you tell me, pilot, I've seen your resume, so why are you looking for a job? It's an opportunity for you to shine. Well, thank you for your question. I've been a business analyst now for about 6 years, and I've worked on this and that. Where this comes in is, I would be speaking to that recruiter based on what they're looking for, because I know where she's calling me from. So when a recruiter calls me, the first thing I want to think about is, I want to go to my history on Seek, go and look for that job, because you probably would have applied to a lot of jobs, right? So it may be hard for you to remember who they are. But when they call you, those ones are just scouting for keywords. So she'll be looking for things like the job on the screen, she'll be looking for things like someone that's got a very good understanding of gap analysis, to do an Aziz and it to be analysis for her, someone that's developed UAT test cases before, someone that's got an understanding of business case. We've worked on business case in this class. You guys have worked on test cases. You guys know your Aziz and your to be, which is the current state and target. But what I'm trying to say is, you always want to read the position description. It's not a good look to just look at $1,500 per hour and just pop in the application. You want to read the information. What are they looking for? So at least at the very, very minimum, if someone from Blackwood calls me, I know exactly what I'm going to say to her for her to say, Tayo, we'll have to call you for an interview tomorrow. But if she says it's a quick chat and I'm just fluffing around, she calls someone else who is excited, then I may never hear back from them. So you always want to ensure that that first initial conversation, when they call you, you are going with a lot of energy. I've gotten several comments from recruiters telling me, oh, I just really like your passion and the energy. I'm going to get someone to give you a call tomorrow. She's probably saying that from a place, maybe she's spoken to people that have been like quite underwhelming. So this is the time that you want to fake your extroverted attitude. So I'm not saying be overly loud, but express a lot of zeal and passion, and someone who actually does know what they're saying. So don't be shy. I mean, it's still like an initial phone call. So when they call you in that first instance, I'm giving them all the energy. Every single chat that you have with the recruiter is a serious conversation. Some of them may say things like, oh, we're just going to have a quick chat, just to get to know you. it's a serious conversation. So you always want to take every of their conversation as though you're going to war. There's no simple, every conversation is being judged. Every comment from you is being judged. Right from that initial call, that's when your interview starts, up until you actually probably attending in person or doing it on Seek. So it's important. Now let's read what Blackwoods is looking for, and let me see if I've got a resume that can get me called for this job. So they said, as a BA within the digital and technology function, okay, they said, I will support their project-driven initiatives. Okay, makes sense. So that I can enhance efficiencies and improvements across their business. All right, that's what I do as a business analyst. They then said, in this role, you will work with relevant stakeholder groups to gain an understanding of the requirement and circle back this information to the architecture team, aka the development team, to set them up for success. They've then said it's a permanent full-time opportunity and will be based on site. They've also said it's hybrid working, or I can live with that. So now what I'm interested in, what are they actually looking for the successful candidate? What are they looking for from the person? All right, they said some of the task includes gathering and documenting business and system requirements from business and IT stakeholders. All right, I'm going to gather the requirements. I'm going to elicit the requirements. I'm going to document the requirements. Okay, I know that. I'm also going to do some process flows using gap analysis to understand their current state and their future state, which is the Aziz and B2B. Okay. They said provide insights. I'm going to support in development of business case. I know what a business case is. It's to justify why we need to do the project or not. I know the information. Now, bear in mind, it says support. So that means as a BA, realistically speaking, and my current project is having the business case is going up to Stakeco tomorrow for endorsement. Now, this business case, I didn't write it, but all of the information in that business case was as a result of the work that I've done. So I didn't actually, it's not my artifact. So when you look at your RACI, business case, oftentimes the accountability rests with your project manager, depending on the. Say that again. You froze, Joseph. What were you?
Sorry, that means it's my network. Sorry, I thought I wasn't hearing you at the point. So I felt probably it's everyone.
No, you froze at some point. Could you guys hear me all right?
Yes, clearly.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so you froze. Did you have a question, Joseph?
No. I was just wondering. I couldn't hear you, so I was asking, is this just me or everyone?
Oh, okay. Yes. All right. Glad you're back. Okay, so they want someone who can develop UAT cases, development of business case, all that stuff. What else are they looking for? So these are the pecs. I'm not really concerned about that. That's not going to be on my resume. 5 years, large scale, complex project, analytical, end-to-end UAT, verbal outcomes, interpersonal, etc., all of that good stuff, which is good. They want someone in HR, finance. Okay, highly regarded. All right, I've read the information. What I'm really after is this. So this is my focus. The opportunity as a business analyst, what they want in this role. They've talked about the things that I would do. They've talked about some of the tasks and they've talked about some of the skills. How do I ensure that my resume is speaking the same language as what Blackwoods is looking for? So we're going to do that exercise together, but just double checking that we're all in sync, everyone's following. Are we all good? Are we all still on track? Are we all still following? Okay, I see a couple of nods. Okay, thank you. All right, so I may do a quick exercise. Let's take this to ChatGPT and we probably ask it to provide us some keywords. Let's see. Remember, again, ChatGPT, sometimes you may not be able to. So can you provide 5 to 10 keywords. So I'm just gonna ask it. This one is probably me just showing you. JobScan would tell you the keywords that you need to have in mind, but I just want you to understand that you can leverage ChatGPT as well, just to, can you provide 5 to 10 keywords in the below job description? Okay, in order to optimize my resume for the applicant tracking system. And let's see what GPT tells us. Okay, so it's telling me project-driven business and system requirement, business process, business cases, UAT test cases, stakeholder management. I'm not very happy with this, and that's because I know that there's more things. So, but this is just the initial things that you just, you keep in mind. My ultimate is still JobScan, because I know that JobScan can really do that sort of job. JobScan would have the context and provide me those keywords based on my resume. But at least with ChatGPT, I know that whatever it is that I do, I need to display my competency in developing a business case. I need to show the recruiter that I've got capacity in building UAT test cases. I need to let them know that I've got excellent stakeholder management skills. I need to let them know that I can, build or develop business process documentation. I can write business system requirements, and also tell them my job title, which is the, business analyst job. So that's always a good one to keep in mind. Now let's go and use jobscan.co, which is what you would be predominantly using. Let's use that to scan our resume. All right, so I'm going to pop in the job description here. So did everyone see what I did? So literally you just click on it. I think it's very intuitive, this system. It tells you exactly where you need to go to. So I click on job scan. I do this. I will just copy and paste what I have. Then I'm gonna delete this. Oh, no, I'll probably leave it. So I want to upload my resume. So you've got two options. You can either copy and paste your resume, or you can upload it. So you can copy and paste your resume in full, yeah, if you want, or you can upload the resume. So in my case, I'm just going to upload the resume, and I think I've got a resume. So let's use this one, resume template. What's today's date? 22. All right. So let's use this. I'm going to try and use the John Doe. Let's see what that brings for us. Okay, so my resume is coming up. All right, so it's got my resume. So it's uploaded my resume. So I'm going to click on Power Edit. Power Edit does have a lot of functions. So I'm going to quickly run through this. So it's importing my resume and creating a match report. This match report is going to tell me where I've got deficiency. There's a lack of a better word there, but where I need to really improve my resume. Now, guys, remember that I said there are ATS compatible templates on JobScan. So it's telling me that, Tayo, we've created ATS friendly resume template. You can always change it later. But for the sake of this exercise, I'm going to choose, which one do I like? I'm just going to choose one. I want my work experience first. So I'll choose this and I'll continue. Okay. So what has happened is it has scanned my resume against the job description, and it's telling me that I'm currently on 32%. On a scale of 100, what does 32% really mean? Is that a good grade to have in anything? No. So I see a lot of nods. All right, so job scan is telling me that Tayo, yes, whatever, you've got the skills, but you don't quite have the information that Blackwoods is looking for. So my resume may get trashed in the bin. So what I'm going to do now is, because I've done Power Edit tells me, so if I click on this drop down, it tells me what the problem is. So it's telling me all the good things that I did. Says I've got my address, I've got my email, I've got my phone number, which is good. I've got my education education and my work experience, which is good. So it says I've got my summary. The job title provided was not found in your resume. We recommend having the exact job title for which you're applying for. All right, so I'm going to fix that. But before that, I want to look at where I've got the red and how I can make them green to increase my chances. So for you to use Power Edit properly, it takes it literally takes nothing from you. You just need to read it, go back to ChatGPT, acknowledging that again, a couple of you guys are still sort of like getting your head around all of the terminologies, how to use them in sentences and things like that. So ChatGPT can help you with all of those. Let's formulate what we need to do. So ideally, I would do this manually and get us to think about it. But we're going to do it a little bit differently today. So we'll try and use ChatGPT to help us with some phrasing. But JobScan does have its own suggestions that it tells you how you can do things, and you can use AI to rephrase a sentence. And sometimes it can lose meaning, just like a lot of AI out there. Like when you prompt them, they give you something that they have been programmed to give, but it does not necessarily mean that it's the best for what you're looking for. So essentially what I'm trying to say is you can rephrase your sentences in this place using this. So once you click on the roles and responsibility, it gives you the rephrase option. So if I clicked on this, it's going to try and rephrase that for me. Led workshops for business requirement collection, resource allocation, project plan development to improve but I'm not going to use that. Anyway, so I just wanted to call that out, that you can rephrase. Now I've got the add skills here. It's telling me that there's no reference to stakeholder management in my resume. So I haven't really talked about my stakeholder management skills. There was a match to business case development, which is good. There was no information around business process documentation that I've done in the past. There's no information around how I've supported a product during post implementation. There's nothing around project work, which this is probably not too critical, so I won't worry too much about that. Systems requirements, there's no information on my resume that I can write test cases. So that is what this is essentially telling you. And it's also saying that I don't really have supply chain experience again, which is, they've put it there as, desirable, highly regarded, but I don't have it, and I may not necessarily put it if I don't have the experience. But I'll focus on putting a lot of the other hard skills. And I'll show us how we can do that. So for the soft skills as well, it's telling me that I don't have written and verbal communication in my resume. So going back to my point around the exact keyword, in here, I've got strong communicator with a commitment to delivering high quality solutions that exceed stakeholder expectations. Even though I've said something around communication skills, there is no indication on whether it is written or verbal communication. So it's those simple things that can really, really increase your chances. And if this were to be an actual application that I've popped in and they've given the system these variables to follow, I will get trashed in the bin, just given that I'm not even sitting in the 70 zone at this point in time. Are we all following? Like, does it sort of like add up? Are we all following? Does it make sense to us? Like,
100%.
thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. So, it's always very important, and that's why we have tools like this to help and make things better. Okay, let's get into the crux of the matter. So, stakeholder management. Well, I don't have stakeholder management on this work experience. I'm going to do one manually, then we would use ChatGPT to do one so I can save time. So, in theory, I should get this to 85. I always target 85, 80%, but I'll show you how you can do that on your own. So this is saying that, and again, I wanted to call out, please don't use acronyms in your resume. So for example, coordinate user acceptance testing. I would write this in full and then put the acronym in bracket, because if they haven't really written anything on like UAT and they've written it in full and there's no acronym, the system may not grab what I've got. Did you notice the change in my match score? Did anyone notice the change?
From
Yeah.
32 to 38, yeah.
What did you say? Sorry.
Said it moved from 32 to 38.
Yes. So again, I did have UAT, right? It's not like I don't have it, but they're looking for user acceptance testing. So the keyword is key. So if you were to, just being mindful of acronyms is extremely, extremely important. So I'll be really careful. Now, let's look at stakeholder management and how I can put it on my resume or UAT test cases in this case. So let's see what this person has got in their resume. So again, you remember I said it needs to make sense. So it's not just let me just, for example, created process models prioritizing personas, then I put supply chain, customer journeys, UAT test cases, sequence diagrams. That doesn't make sense. Even though job scan would pass you, when it gets to the human table, they're looking at your resume like, okay, am I a joke to this person? So they will still trash it in the bin. So you always want to ensure that it actually does make sense. And when people read it, they've got a very good grasp of your experience and what you've done. Okay, so we're going to use one of these words here. Again, you don't have to do this alone. You can leverage ChatGPT to make things easier for you. So I'm going to try and put this. So this one says developed business process mapping notation diagrams and other business process modeling techniques, including flowcharts, swim lanes, etc. So I'm going to try and say that developed instead. So I'm going to say developed business process documentation, such as so I'm going to leave that there as an example. And it bumped me to 43%. So let's say I want to go to ChatGPT to try and like use some of these keywords, system requirement. So I'm going to go to ChatGPT and say something like this. Sorry, got a sound. So I'm going to say, can you make a sentence? That is assuming that you don't really want to do this, like just wasting time and thinking about it. Like if I wanted to do this for a job that I was applying for, I would like really just sit with it and do it myself. Like I wouldn't really leverage AI, but that may not be working smart, but it's just my preference. But acknowledging that you guys are, again, like I said, still building capacity in this sort of area, getting more familiar with all of the things I need to do. So I'm going to prompt ChatGPT to make a sentence with it. So can you make a sentence with this word for my business analyst resume. Please include measurable outcome. I'm gonna see what GPT tells me. Okay, it says gathered and documented system requirements contributing to a 15% reduction in project implementation timeline by ensuring clear alignment between stakeholders' needs and technical specs. Okay, so let's copy this and let's go back to job scan. Because with your resume, you always want to start with an action word. So I'm going to try and see where I fit into the puzzle. I will pop this in here. Change a couple of things. So this is just an example. It needs some critical thinking to think about how it actually makes sense and something that it's readable, human being can understand. The system will take all of these keywords. So it doesn't mean that, okay, I just need to follow you blindly. So gathered and documented in project implementation timeline by ensuring clear alignment between stakeholder needs and technical specifications. So I'm going to put that in there. And I've got system requirements that is off the table. And I'm going to do this for all of these other hard skills, UAT test cases. Now that's key. I said something before about UAT. So acknowledging that this is getting too long, but for the sake of this showcase, I'm going to try and include coordinating user acceptance testing, UAT. I'm going to add writing or developing. I'm going to just use the same word that I've used since I've written UAT test cases in full. And sorry, since I've written user acceptance testing in full. Because again, I said this is very long, but for the sake of this showcase, so when you watch this video, it doesn't feel like a very bulky video. We're going to leave this in here and see what we get. So that's bumped me to 53%. So I do this for all of the keywords, but see how I'm making sure that it fits into the sentence. If you're ever in doubt, you can take it to ChatGPT and say, can you streamline this sentence, or can you make it shorter, still including some of these keywords that is very important and relevant to the job that I'm doing. If you want to overkill it and even make it really nice, you give ChatGPT some more context around the project that you've worked on. So I'm a business analyst, who has spearheaded a CRM implementation within a digital solutions team. I'm currently trying to compose a resume to talk about my skills in writing system requirements and my ability to also support, rollout during post-implementation. Can you please provide me, in 3 sentences, a job description that fits into this? So I'm sure that we all use ChatGPT right now. We all prompt it nicely. So it's the same thing that you need to mirror to this, with this rather. So 53% is not a good percentage to get to. You need to aim to get to the green. So the green would give you congratulations. Once you get to 75, it would just give you that illusion that yes, you hit the mark, but you can aim for the stars by aiming for 80, 85. What do we think? How are we all feeling with this strategy? Anyone?
Makes life easy.
Okay, that's a good one. Any other comment?
Yeah, it's quite easy, just it requires a lot of dedication, and attention to details.
Thank you. I like that word. Attention to details. And again, remember, every opportunity to learn, I grab it. Once you do this, you learn more about what the role is looking for. you are more prepared and better placed to get this job more than someone who just, oh, this job is paying $1,000 per day. Put it in there. They call you, Taya, do you have experience, working on this and that and that and that? You're just fluffing. But as part of our preparation, you would have your elevator pitch. You would have a pitch that you would read it time on time. You record it, you play it in your car, rather than listen to Davido music or Whiskey. You listen to your own voice, recording your tell me about yourself. So that way, it stays in your head. Like you have that very high retention capability. So you would be able to just leverage those things, listen to yourself. When they call you, you're ready to speak to them from a place of confidence, which is what we want. And this can really, really increase your chances. So the difference, again, between someone who is going to, you would go to an interview and have fun, and someone who would go there and be like, whew, they drilled me so much, is your level of preparation. So if you're prepared, whatever angle that they come into, it would be really, really great. So I want you guys to keep that in mind. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now and, take any questions in relation to JobScan. Like I said, we would send you the link as well if we haven't done that already. The JobScan, the link, the details, you can play around with this. Once you've gotten your feedback, you can start to put in your application and start to really, really aim for the stars and believing that your chances are quite high. But this is going to really, really increase your chances of getting a call back from a recruiter. Does anyone have any comments, any information, any questions that they would like to ask?
Any question?
Yeah, so I have a question.
Okay.
So as regards, yeah, so I'm going to speak about the
Oh,
cover letter.
Your audio. Can't hear you properly.
Just hold on.
Are you
Can
still
you hear me
talking?
now?
It's better, thank you.
Okay, so I'm speaking as regards the cover letter, right? So for your cover letter, just because I saw it on the template, for your cover letter, do you also have to take keywords from the? So do you have to take keywords from the what's it called, from the application?
So it just makes sense. So it's the flow. For example, like the job that we looked at, right? So they specifically spoke about someone who has got proficiency in writing user acceptance testing, test cases, someone who has facilitated that session. In my cover letter, it would be natural for me to highlight those things that I've also done. So there's like that flow between your cover letter and your resume, but it's not necessarily like you don't necessarily need to like pump in all of the keywords, but like the technical skills that I've highlighted, I would ensure that in my story that I'm putting on my cover letter, that's all covered. And when they read it, it looks like they're reading like a replica of all of my documentation. There's no disconnect. Did that answer your question, Ugo?
Yes,
But you
thank
would
you.
not necessarily need to, optimize the cover letter and start to see if that fits into the puzzle. It's mostly your resume that is really, really important. And then once you get that, you have an understanding of the PD, you start to replicate that across board. When you're talking to them, when you're, putting in your cover letter, when you even go for the interview. It's more like if you know that these are the things that this person likes, and you know that that's the wow factor for them. There's no need to reinvent the wheel and start to go out of the ordinary. I will just stick to what I know that, this person likes. So it's the same thing with job application. What are they looking for? I give them that and then give them some, icing on the cake. But at the very least, they know that Tayo has got the core skills they were looking for. And every other thing that I say is an additional and a testament to the good work that I'm going to deliver to them or for them.
Thank you.
Great.
Add to that, so cover letter is like you showing off, and it doesn't necessarily have to be what's on your resume. It's an extra opportunity to tell them that, hey, this is those things that are not in my CV, but I can do well for you. This is my track record. It's like a bragging right in one page. Although, like, there's a love-hate relationship with cover letter. Some people will not apply once you see cover letter. I hate it as well because just extra step in the process. But they are really important as well, because if jobs that have cover letter, you already know that a lot of competition will not do the cover letter well. So if you take the time to do a cover letter well, you're optimizing your chance, in doing so. So it's about strategy and thinking about, okay, this job looks difficult to apply to, right? If I do the right thing, I optimize my resume, a lot of people will not do the right thing, so that increases my chance. So especially if it's a company that their values align, I'm sure some of you, the value is money, yeah. But anyway, if your value aligns with the company, go for it and really put your best foot forward in a way that you ask yourself, if 100 people are going to apply to this job, how do I show up in a way that I'm going to make them look stupid to resist me and not call me for interview. Yeah. Ty, do you want to run through elevator pitch and why that is important for now or tomorrow? You're muted.
Apologies. Yeah, we can do elevator pitch. I've got that on a different deck though, but it's
Yeah,
all right.
back on with, I think it's just good synergy.
How many minutes have I got?
Yeah, you run the show. Hey.
Okay, let's assume that I've got half an hour. Let's make that bigger. Or do you guys need a break first, or like just to stretch your legs?
I've not even started work. As in, I've not started. Let's continue, please.
Okay. All right. Now this is going to be
You see now, that's part of what we are talking about, Noah. You see now. Cosmos, you know go talk put now.
Bro, I tire for Noah. We're about to get motherly love. Baba shut everybody down like crying babies. So everybody keep quiet.
Like all this thing, I just talk full ground now. Me person no go break again.
I felt
water don't feel frog for mouth too.
I'm feeling Noah attended the military school.
So now military ruler you be the military ruler.
Where you guys get this from? Let's come and rest. Let's walk now. Thank you.
all right. Okay, team, let's quickly run this. Like this is very interesting, and I will try and make sure that we really get the best value from this session. Now, when it gets to interview preparation, right? So you always want to keep something in mind. I'm there to be interviewed. I'm also there to interview them. So it goes both ways. They will learn from you and you will learn from them. You're meant to enjoy an interview. You're actually meant to go there and see it as, I'm going to have a conversation with, Joseph, or I'm going to have a conversation with Jay, and I'm going to tell them about my experience. If you go there with a lot of nerves, that can really, really impact the performance. And I've seen comments in the past that a couple of people have gotten before they got their job to say, well, you didn't quite appear as a confident person, or you didn't seem like you possess the leadership skills, or you didn't quite hit the nail on the head, something like that. Most times in the comments that I get from recruiters, they just put like the same template comment, feedback. Sometimes you get something genuine, like where they give you like a tailored feedback to tell you, okay, this is what you've done and you could do this better. But essentially what I'm trying to say is you're really on this path to ensure that when I talk to a recruiter, what do I want them to get from my conversation? If someone says, Tayo, who are you? What am I going to say to the person? If someone says, can I explain to them what my experience in Australia has looked like in the last couple of years that I've lived in this country? Now, there's going to be a lot of information that I can dish out, but I know that I do not have a lot of time. So I will only solely focus on like the MVP of my experience in Australia, which are the key things and the important things that I can quickly deliver, and that can give someone a little bit of an overview of my experience living in this country. So when you attend interviews, for example, you always want to go prepared. Again, I always say something like knowledge builds confidence. I recall like I used to be like really shy, and for some reason I think that was because I probably wasn't quite good at some of those things that I was doing at that point in time, and I would show up and deliver it anyway, but like my heart literally would be beating so fast. And I went back to the drawing board and said, look, like why would I go into any room and if someone were to describe me, they would say, oh, that girl is good, but she's shy. I never just wanted to be that kind of person. I wanted to walk into a room and, give it my utmost best and display as much level of confidence as possible. That's my mantra. So when you go into an interview, you always want to display that massive level of confidence. But I also acknowledge that that confidence cannot come if you do not have the knowledge and the understanding. So your delivery would be key, your preparation would be key, and the things that you know would be extremely important, which is why we've got what we call the elevator pitch. Elevator pitch is quite literal. It's like, how do I elevate myself? How do I magnify my experience? How do I pitch myself? It's almost as though, you've gone to like an expo where you're trying to pitch your product. You're going to say all the good things to them, say, nah, this is a workable product, this meets and fits into all of all of our needs and expectations. So your elevator pitch, you should be able to, if someone wakes you up and says, Choma, can you run me through your elevator pitch in 90 seconds? You should have it ready to be dished out easily and, in a very natural way. So for example, if I went into an interview today and they say, Tayo, they can say something like this. Tayo, could you tell us about your experience in the last 6 years? Every interview would not necessarily start with, Jay, can you tell us, who you are, or, tell me about yourself. It necessarily doesn't always start with that. It may start with something like, what motivated you to apply for this job? What interests you about this position that you've applied to? Why are you looking to explore a role as a business analyst? Things like that. So your elevator pitch is quite encompassing because it's got a lot of things. So your must-haves is what I'm going to run through. So if you're talking to a recruiter, what are the things that I need to keep in mind? If a recruiter says to me, I'm in an interview, obviously I've presented well, my camera angle is really good, my camera is not like low and I'm not in a cloudy room, people can see me properly, there's like really nice background, I'm not showing all of my kitchen area, the camera is in a good place, I'm well dressed and positioned for what I need to do. The kitchen area is just me banting, but you just always want to present professionally. But yes, like you don't want like your spoons and plates, and for some people that are using like their living area as their office, essentially you just want to present, professionally and really nice, well put together. And now I'm in that interview and they've said to me, oh, Tayo, thank you so much for coming to this session. We're really glad to have you on board. So yeah, let's get straight into it. Can you tell us about your experience in the last, couple of years? Seen your resume, we're quite happy. And because I'm not prepared, I would probably say something like, okay, yes, so yeah, my name is Tayo Oriowo, and the reason that I'm applying for this job is really because the job aligns with my, values and my mission and yeah, everything that I've worked on as a business analyst. I also have done like some projects, different projects I've worked on, and I can write user stories. Yeah, so I've done a lot of things in my experience. And I also have good communication skills, and I'm very good with Jira, and I can write a lot of, like the requirement documentation. I have experience with that. Yes, so yeah, that's really not like my experience in the last couple of years. I will, share more with you in the course of this interview. Now, that's an example of what you should never do or say in an interview. That is poorly presented. That's an awful presentation. There's lots of filler words. There's me panting and looking around as though I'm being chased. I'm not looking into the camera. I'm like looking up in the air. I'm looking for the words. They start to judge you right from when you open your mouth. So if there's no flow, there's no coherence, you're just yeah, well, like before some of you, like some people, in the first 30 seconds, you would have marked like 30 knows because they're not ready, they're not prepared, and then you would have seen like 40 which just bores the recruiters. It makes you sound very less interesting. They can't make a note of anything that you're saying to them. So your preparation is key. And the first thing that you need to keep in mind is I need to reiterate to them my years of experience. Someone on the panel may not have had the opportunity to look at your resume. So that is my opportunity to really tell this person that, yes, I've got 5 years of experience. So your years of experience is always key. Now, note that I've got a name here. I've got Tosin and Noah in this place. The reason that I have their name is because if you recall the way that we're biologically set up, when people call you by your first name, instantly your attention is more drawn to what they're about to say. And it makes you appear like a confident person as well. So when you go into an interview, if you're joining via Teams or you're joining via Zoom, or even if you're going in person, I will try and note their name in my head. And I'll use that to my advantage. Even though I'm like all shaking my head, I call you by your first name. I talk to you about what I need to do. I deliver that, and when I go there, I can go and give a very deep sigh. But first name basis just sounds, there's something about it that makes them listen to you more. It draws their attention to you. And I would put emotions into this and talk to them as though I'm having a conversation rather than me like just delivering, how some people deliver acknowledgement of country, very robotic, and they just read it, no emotions. So this one's different. You want to really put yourself into it and smile and be free. Like, I need you guys to understand that once you've prepared, all of these things will become easy. You would get to know it more naturally with the preparation that would introduce you to. If you attend our interview preps, if you have this speech ready, which we would guide you on how to write it, we would also review it. There's no way you wouldn't be able to, at least to a certain degree, recall what you need to say to them. So I want to say something like, okay, so tell me about yourself, or why have you applied to this role today? and why have you applied to this role? So I'm going to say something around, well, thank you so much, Cosmas, for that question. I really do, appreciate the opportunity to be interviewing with you and the team today, and also the opportunity for me, to really express, my experience in this field and also learn more about your company. I should say that I've been a business analyst now for just over 5 years, and I've specialized in helping businesses and business owners to deliver successful projects or initiative, which is targeted at one thing. I mean, we can all agree is to meet business needs. So that's my focus. And, that's what I've been able to work on. That's one of the things I've been able to work on in the last couple of years. I have also specialized in improving product delivery and supporting businesses to deliver solutions. That's my first bit. I can run that in like 3 seconds. So I've started by thanking them. And I've also reiterated the fact that this is an opportunity for me to learn more about their company, see if the value align, and also tell them about myself. But on the layer of that, I've told them that my specialty is really helping businesses to achieve efficiency. Efficiency that meets their needs, or productivity, or delivering successful project that meets their needs. That is always important. Projects are set up to meet something, whether it is you're solving a problem or you're trying to create an opportunity. Your project is there to meet a need, and that's what you want to display in an interview. So I would call them by their first name, and of course I will not overkill it, but in conversations, in the same way that you speak to people, you would use people's first names when you're speaking to them most times, especially if you want to really nail something on the head. Like when I'm having a chat with Tosin, I'm like, oh my God, Tosin, you cannot believe this. Like I do not need to call his name, but because I really want I want to grab his attention more. I'm eating that name, I'm calling his name like, oh my God. When I'm talking to my friends, I overkill it. I call their names like 1,000,001 times. So you kind of want to replicate that, but of course, in the context of an interview, you want to make sure it's minimal. But I've told you the purpose. It makes you, appear quite confident. Now, I want to talk about the domains that I've worked in, right? So your domain could be insurance, could be education, could be finance, different, it could be e-commerce, could be in the health space, whatever it is that you've worked on. In this case, we're going to, once you guys write this pitch, we can guide you on how you can leverage your previous experience and pop that in your pitch. So I would, say something like, well, I've told them that I've got over 5 years of experience and I've specialized in helping businesses to deliver successful projects, an initiative to meet business needs. I'm then going to go ahead and say, now on top of that, I've also had the pleasure of working across different domains such as the health space, insurance, and the financial services being my last, where I have last worked. So again, everything is not like bang on, no emotions, straight off the bat. You're talking to them. So it's different if I say, I've been a business analyst for 8 years and I specialize in improving product delivery and supporting business. I mean, if you're saying the right thing, that's fine. Like if it's correct, if you're not really that body language, like smile, if you're saying the correct thing and they like you, that's fine. It's a problem if you're fluffing around and you don't have coherence in what you're saying to them. That's what I'm trying to communicate. Now, you also want to talk about the different types of projects that you've worked on. Are they, compliance related project? Are they process improvement project? Have you worked on, perhaps you worked on complex projects such as ERP project or CRM project or data migration project? The reason for this is this first three, it gives the recruiters the whoever is interviewing you an idea of what you've done. And if the current project is really about process improvement, the next question could be, so Inameka, I recall that you mentioned that you've worked on a couple of process improvement projects. Can you run me through some of the challenges, or can you give me on a high level, what did you deliver on the last process improvement project that you worked on? So that there could be a follow-up question, but it really helps them to match you with what they're looking for. It's a very value-added information that you need to that you would provide to your recruiter. So these are my years of experience when I'm introducing myself. I've been a business analyst now for 10 years. Then you want to talk about the domains that you've worked. Now, on the layer of that, I've also had the pleasure of working in about 3 different domains. I know that saying that out loud sometimes is unbelievable, but yes, that is my experience. And even in my journey as a business analyst, I have worked on this and that. So very important that you keep this in mind. So my years of experience. So this is going to be a guide for you to develop your elevator pitch post this session. So the things that you want to keep in mind. And I think Noah did mention that we've got templates that would, share with you as well. So you're not doing any of these things alone. But the delivery is what I'm really keen on today. It's not more so the content would support you with the content. I'm more focused on like the delivery and the core information and how I'm saying it. The difference between someone who is an enjoyable speaker is someone who put a lot of emotions into what they're saying. They're very expressive. I can see the genuinity in like what you're saying to me. So I don't want you guys to go to interviews because naturally you may go in there like quite robotic, because you're nervous and all of those things. But I don't want you to express that nervousness to the point where your recruiters can or may have an impression to perceive you as someone who is not confident, or perhaps someone who doesn't have the skills. So it could be 2 things. Well, yeah, she was a little bit, she's good, but I'm not too convinced about how she would work with people. I don't think she's got people skills. I worked with the program director once, and she said, "Oh, Tayo, I just came out of an interview, and the interview was really good. I thought that he had all of the right experience, but I don't think he's got the right people skills that we need for the brand and digital program." And I was like, "But he's good." She's like, "Yeah, he's got the technical skills, but he's just really lacking in the soft skills. He didn't have that emotions. She couldn't connect to him. And she didn't see this person as someone she could work with." Look, technical skills, a lot of people have it, but you see soft skills, it's extremely important. And you want to display that from your interview. Like you can fake it, just fake it. Like you don't even need to be like overly, just be personable and not like be robotic and just bang on, like smile, call them by their first name, say interesting things to them, be expressive. Don't just, I've been a business analyst for 8 years and I've worked on improving product delivery. I've also worked in domains like insurance and finance, and I've worked on different projects, ERP project, data migration. With the data migration project that I worked on, there was a problem in the organization as they had just merged with another, like, it's just like, okay, what's just, it's just like, it's a soft session. So treat it as a session where I really want to deliver, and I also want to show to them that I've got the people skills. So to my surprise, like she's telling me that this person has got the skills, but they didn't quite have the level of people skills that she was looking for. It's not the end of the world at the end of the day, right? But that's a job that they could have gotten because they have the technical skills. Your technical skills is one, your soft skills is another. And your soft skills, sometimes, if it's lacking, they may not necessarily give you the job just because you have the technical skills, because they may call Tosin tomorrow and he's got both of them. So always very important that you're not just going there to go and deliver the domain and the type of project that you've worked on, that you really also show your personality. If you're shy, that's fine. Just talk, even if you talk very calmly, that's fine. But be warm and be personable and smile. I will, just, of course, not just smiling and being sarcastic like it's a joke, but you want to show emotions. So even when you're not, like, even when they throw a question at you that is not quite clear, because you've maintained a level of composure, they're not going to realize that it looks like Taya is not, she doesn't really know this question. But if you just maintain add-on, the straight face, bring the next question on, bring the next question. They ask you something and you hang. It's easy to see. But like if you've been warm, like, in the way that you guys would interact in this class, you're quite free. But it didn't start like that. At the beginning of the class, a lot of you guys were like in your shells and literally you would just listen and do your own thing. But it got to a stage where everyone got a little bit more comfortable. You guys can make bands and you can express yourself, and it's more interesting to listen to. It's the same thing with your interview. Show who you are, show your personality, fake it till you make it. You can fake like just that personable act. You can put that up, but this thing comes from practice. Practice. Your perfection is going to come from how much repetition you've got within you. If you can do things time and time and time repeatedly, you begin to build your skills, you begin to talk about it more confidently. So, acknowledging that we're quite new to this and we're still learning, but it's extremely important that we don't see interview as that dreaded session. I mean, it can be a little bit confronting because sometimes you probably got three or four people in front of you telling you, asking you, just throwing one question at a time and doing all of that stuff. But it's always very, very valuable. Now, so we've talked to them about the years of experience. We've talked about the domain that we've worked on, and we've now talked about the project category that we've worked. Now, for this particular one, I always tread very carefully when I tell people about giving a teaser about the project that they've worked on. Now, here's what I mean. For every project, there's an objective. We're currently building a project with Justin Solutions, which is really to connect NDIS clients with NDIS participants, with NDIS providers and vice versa, in order to ensure that they have a central repository to, get services and feel supported. That's the objective of that project that we're working on. Now, with this gift teaser about one of the projects that you've worked on, please be very careful and not start to talk about like every single detail on the project, because remember, you're still pitching yourself. This pitch is to be delivered max 2 minutes. 2 minutes, and that is given that you're very interesting and you're not robotic. If you know that you don't have the capacity to keep talking in an interesting way for 2 minutes, try and streamline it down to perhaps 1 minute, 30 seconds. So that way, before you bore them to death, you've passed your message and you can move on to the next question. The danger in getting them bored is they're not listening to you. Therefore, they can't really judge your level of capacity, and that can impact the outcome of that interview. So you always want to keep them on their toes, which is where calling them by their names, which is where that comes in. Anyway, you want to give a teaser about the project. So because I've told them that speaking about some of the project that I've worked on, which ranges from process improvement, ERP projects, and transformational projects in the course of my experience, I'd like to say, Cosmas, as I previously mentioned, with the transformational project that I've worked on, this was as a result of a merger that occurred in a company that I was working with at the time, was actually an insurance company. And with that merger come with, 2 systems in place. What that meant and looked like for us is there was a project stood up, which I was the lead B on this, particular project, to help in streamlining our operations or to help in migrating migrating information from our legacy system to the target system. I'd be more than happy to share more about this project in the course of my interview. So if you want to talk about your project at the very bare minimum in your intro, it has to be nice and short. Speaking of the process improvement or project, or speaking of the last project that I've worked on, this was actually really solving a problem in the NDIS space. Now, this solution was meant to connect NDIS service providers with NDIS participants, and we can all agree that there is a massive problem in the sense that there are not lots of central repository for NDIS participants to get services that they require. So I worked on this project as a business analyst to build a system that can really do this job. So what I've just done is giving them a summary of what the last project I worked on was meant to deliver. So again, when I say give a teaser of one of the project that you've worked on, you just want to talk about the objective in a way that they can understand. So you're already like giving them something to look forward to. Wow, I'm quite interested in that NDIS connector app. One of our students, I think from like cohort 5 or 6, she went to an interview and talked about this application that I just talked about, the NDIS connector app. And she talked about it as though she had built it, even though it was still in discovery at that point in time. And that was a game-changing factor for her because they were in the health sector as well, and they wanted someone with that level of NDIS understanding. So again, your intro is to give everybody something to look forward to. So as much as possible, you want to make sure that it has the right level of information, not too long, not too short, just in the right spot, and you can deliver it within 2 minutes maximum. There are interesting speakers. I guess we'll find out when you guys start to attend interview prep. There are people that even if they talk for like 3 minutes, you don't know that it's 3 minutes because of the way that they're delivering it. So it doesn't sound like, can we move on to the next question? Because of the delivery approach. And there are some of us where, if we talk, it's like, okay, Tayo, can we move on to the next question? Again, delivery is key, but the sweet spot that we always recommend is 2 minutes. If God has given you the grace to go past 3 minutes and you know that the delivery is not going to sound boring, by all means, we can be a judge of that during your interview prep. We've attended interview preps where someone's talked for like 3 minutes and it didn't even feel like that. There are people like that. So you need to know who you are and what you can do. Again, so we've spoken about years of experience, we've spoken about domains, we've spoken about category, and then we've given them a little bit of the objective of the project that I've worked on to give them something to start thinking about. So their questions will be directed towards the information that I'm feeding them. Oftentimes, interviews would go in the direction that you steer them. So again, don't talk about something that you don't know. A lot of people like to say, yes, I'm very good with Power BI, I'm very good with data visualization, I'm very good with this, because somewhere in their head, it makes them sound very technical. Someone then says, oh, can you tell me about a time where you've actually used the tool to, get insight or trends, and then you hang. And it's like, well, you just talked about the fact that you've got proficiency in, this and that. So only talk about things that you can fully defend in case someone jumps on that question. If you want to talk about SQL, at least at the very bare minimum, know a little bit about it. If there's a follow-up question, you can defend it. If you cannot, don't talk about it. It's always good not to talk about something that I cannot fully defend, rather than say it all in the name of looking a certain way or appearing like, yeah, I'm very technical. Those things don't make you sound technical or non-technical. If you know it, by all means. If you don't, please do not talk about it, except you've gone to do some reading and you can really defend it. You can answer some follow-up questions. Now, again, as a business analyst, it's very important that you market who you are. You market your core BA skills. If we look at Blackwood, the job that we were doing earlier on, they mentioned core things: business process documentation. They talked about someone that's got ability to write test cases and things like that. If I was to go to that type of interview and I want to market my core BA skills, I won't necessarily wait for them to ask me about my ability to write test cases. I would slot that in my next point. So I would say something like, in my role as a business analyst, my responsibility really is one thing, which is to ensure that product meets existing and future objective of business needs. And really, how do I do this? I do this by ensuring that I engage with my different stakeholders, of course, identify what their business needs is, what their business needs are, because realistically speaking, you cannot really defend what you don't know. And my mantra is I always like to identify what the business needs are. In the first instance, where required, I would perform the gap analysis and really ensure that I've got a really good visual, trying to determine what my Aziz and to be would look like. On the layer of that, I would also engage in lots of requirement gathering sessions where I might use a lot of my requirement elicitation techniques. And of course, documentation is at the heart of all I do in order to ensure that I can send that to respective stakeholders to get their buy-in. And in speaking to facilitating user acceptance testing as well, I'm quite proficient with these. I'm very good at writing test cases, as in the case of the last project that I did where I led XYZ. So in that sentence, they can try and identify that, okay, she's got gap analysis skills. All right, she's got requirement elicitation techniques under her belt. All right, she understands the importance of documentation. Okay, she can draw the Aziz and the to-be flow. All right, cool. We're getting somewhere. That is sounding to them like their position description, but I've made it my own. Marketing your core BA skills is always important. It is of no value if in your intro, I don't know like if you can gather requirement or not. I don't know if you've if you've got some analysis skills on your radar. I don't know if you understand the importance of reviewing existing documentation if you were jumping on an existing or an in-flight project. So it's always very important. I'm going to skip the next one, and that's because I'm just newly introducing you guys to it. But when you get this PowerPoint slide, there are two parts to it. You can talk about two of your projects in your intro if you would like. Again, it's all about the timing and the delivery. If you're going to deliver this in like 90 seconds, and I don't want you to start to sound boring and start to overkill things and everyone's losing interest, you can give a teaser about one of your projects. Or you can give a teaser about two. Again, eye level, the objective and what I did. The objective and what I did. I've already marketed and told them about my core BA skills. And I'm going to talk about the other projects that I worked on as well. And I will say something again, because I feel like I've been talking for too long. I want to grab Inemeka's attention because Inemeka is interviewing me now and it looks a little bit uninterested. So I'm going to my next speech because again, it's part of you watching their body language and getting their attention. So my next information, which I'm going to say, I would try and mention Inemeka's name. And I would say something like, so after I've said, performing gap analysis, reviewing existing documentation, I've also worked very closely collaborating with the Scrum teams, in Agile ceremonies, delivering Agile artifact. For me, I've been able to contribute effectively and I've been able to take initiative in these Agile ceremonies, ranging from the sprint planning down to the sprint retrospective. This may also interest you Inemeka. I've also worked on a process improvement initiative, as I previously mentioned, where I delivered an inventory management system. Now, this system was built for this company because the organization was looking to build an independent system for them that will be managed and supported by their internal team. Prior to this, they had a third-party system that was very reliant on their vendors offshore, and the organization was now at a point where it was really important that they had an independent system. Now, for me, working on this particular project as a business analyst, of course, understanding the business needs and following the SDLC, I was able to really document, the Aziz and the to-be processes. I was able to identify the pain point, and of course, I didn't do all of this by myself. I worked very closely with the stakeholders to identify this pain point. And this really helped us to develop our project charter. And ultimately, I was able to support in the development of the business case. Again, it depends on how you can deliver it. So this is a guide. You have a guide. You know the things that has to be in your tell me about yourself, aka your elevator pitch. So the delivery is key, but you have a lot of things that you can talk about in that intro. So when you answer questions in a robust and in a quality way, sometimes it can save you some time. I've been in interviews where interviewer will tell me, oh, you've just answered the next 3 questions. So they jump into the 4 or the next questions. And sometimes I end up just doing 3 interview questions because I'm giving them a very robust response and they're quite happy with it. And that can happen. Again, it's in the delivery. I can talk for 3 minutes. It may sound boring. And I can talk for, some people can talk for 4 minutes and it wouldn't feel like it's 4 minutes. This comes with practice. This comes with you doing this time on time, repeating it, recording yourself. I always recommend recording yourself. I see a lot of you guys on TikTok doing a lot of trending videos. Your TikTok skills should come into play now. Record your tell me about yourself in 90 seconds. I know that you guys know yourself. TikTok gangs and Instagram gangs. So all of those skills, grab your phone, record yourself. Jay is smiling. Why are you smiling? Because I see you on TikTok. You're a TikTok queen. So I don't want to see, I want to see all of that TikTok vibe in your interview. So, guys, it's extremely important. And I really want you guys to not see this as, oh my goodness, I have this interview. Imposter syndrome can kick in. A lot of things would kick in. But you always need to keep in mind, I tell myself, whether or not I present shy or less confident, the session will pass. And they will either remember me for one thing. She's good or she's not good. She was confident or she's not confident. Or she was quite shy, but she's good. And, we can work with her. She was too shy. We couldn't really understand what she was saying. She sounded a little bit timid. I don't think she's got the capacity to lead the team. So always very important. Always delivery. Delivery is what is going to make all the difference. In fact, you can be saying all the right things, but in the way that you're delivering it, people can't comprehend what you're saying. And that makes it super hard to follow. So this is why we've got this structure to guide you on, okay, this is the first thing that I need to say. These are the things that I definitely need to keep in mind. If I'm delivering this, I should keep in mind that I need to talk about my years of experience. I need to talk about the domains that I've worked in. I need to talk about the project category. I need to give them a little bit of a teaser about my project, talk about my core BA skills as per the job description. Please don't repeat.
What do I have embedded in me naturally that I can grow?
Oh my goodness. Noah, can you mute your microphone? Oh, sloppy. Okay, so very important that you ensure that when you're putting together this speech, there's a structure.
Everyone should turn on their camera. Let's see the framing, because it starts from here. Like, everybody should turn. We're no more in class. We're no more in class, please.
Let's see your camera angle. So
turn on your camera. Let's see your camera angle. Let's see your Olayinka, that's not camera angle. This is what we're saying. That's not camera angle, blurry camera for interview. Please. These are the things that matter. We can't go to interview and blow it. Turn on your camera. Let's start to judge your camera angle and all the mannerisms, soft skills. All these things are important to get a job. So the framing, you can see tire zone, you can see tossing zone, and we're not even in interview mode. But see how our head is shown. You can see my head, you can see tire zone, you can see tossing zone, you can see Cosmas Ayobami is in the snow. Joseph Inemeka to a point without the cap though, but yeah. Fred, we can see Dennis. Great. So Dennis is like, I think the perfect. You can see Dennis clearly. Alright? So you can see Tejiri. Very good. You can fix your lighting though. Because a bit, yeah. You can see Joseph. But all these texts, Flores, Razu, Duzu, what is all this? You just clean it, wipe it up, wipe it off. Olayinka, you're still in a dark, blurry room. Nobody can see you this way. Kemi, we can see you, but yeah, maybe a bit more light, maybe no.
Yeah, and it looks a little bit low as well, Kemi. It's almost like you're drowned.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Matter, yeah, matter. But you need to come closer to the camera. Let us see you clearly. Like the framing should be like you are in front of them. That is how we know that yes, we're ready for interview. Exactly. Yeah, Yinka is getting there. So we want to be in their face, like, yes, I'm here to have a conversation. And it starts from these little things. You see Joseph, yeah, Joseph is the guy, but he needs to clear that watermark and all these things. Bolaji, yes, good. But yeah, I think you still need
I think
to.
it's at work.
Yeah, it's always at work. Do you work 24 hours every? I don't. It is well. We need to drag you out of. Kemi is not. That's not it though. Yeah. Sorry. Adiza. That's not it though. You have to sit down and show us. So where is Aminat? Where is Ifeanyi? Ifeanyi on the road. Choma. Where's Ugo? Yeah, we can improve. We're showing up professional. It's the way you show up that will come. That the first vibe of what happens is the perception. If you show up correct, it gives you confidence, right? So that's very important. Your camera frame. Now this is better for majority of us. Yes, we can see you, which is what everybody should achieve. Here you like if you don't have extra light, get in like the direction of the window so you get that natural light and frame yourself, your face, and something like this. Just be there in front, well dressed, well put together, shining, and you're ready to go. That's already first impression for a business meeting. It's really important. We can't say it enough. It's really nobody tells you this. But those are the small things that matter because they start to check from branding perspective. Can this person even, does this person fit? If you want to take this person for a meeting, Chibundu, you will not carry this overhead and your cap. You will show up. You get, yeah. All right. I think we are good. Charles, you need to come closer. I know you're at work, but you need to frame. Do you get how you have to frame it? You see how majority of us are almost like headshot and stuff. If you need your hand, if you communicate with your hand, let a bit of your hand show as well, so that like I like to communicate with my hand, so that gives me energy. You can show that as well. It's very important. Thank you.
Absolutely. They're judging every single thing. And, even when you look good and present good, everything cascades, like, because you're feeling very confident and, you're looking super good as well. So in the midst of, so this one, probably not a must-have for the intro, but then again, this template is a guide. If you think that if for me to talk about my professional growth, that's going to move you to like 4 minutes. I don't want you delivering a tell me about yourself for 4 minutes. That is way too long. It doesn't really, yeah, again, depends on how you want to deliver it, but you can talk about your professional growth. I would rather jump to my soft skills and talk about my soft skills and how that I really, so I won't just say I have good communication skills and I've got excellent stakeholder management skills. I will let them know that that has helped me to, contribute to the project success. And if you wanted to give some more tangible outcome to that, you can. But it's always very important not to just list your skills. I'm a good person. I have I have good communication skills. I also have analytical skills. I also have problem solving skills. I also have this and that. Like, it's not very inspiring to listen to. So you can say something like just as I have on the screen. I would also like to include that I've been able to contribute to project success through my creative thinking, my collaboration skills, and of course my communication skills. And this has really impacted in the way that I speak to stakeholders to gather the requirements, which oftentimes bring a lot more clarity to what we're doing. So you're linking the fact that you've got excellent communication skills, you've got active listening skills, and how that has supported you in your requirement gathering as an example. So you don't just want to list those skills like you're itemizing things. You always want to link it to how that has helped you. If you want to talk about your analytical skills, if you want to talk about your collaboration skills as well, you can talk about the teams that you've worked in. I also have excellent collaboration skills. Having worked in a diverse team with developers, quality assurance testers, delivering complex projects, like I previously mentioned, this has really helped me to ensure that I'm able to manage some conflict that has occurred, on the project that I've worked on, which I'm happy to share in more detail as we go. I like to talk about tools very quickly, like just especially if the job description is really highlighting like they want someone who has got proficiency with Confluence, Visio. Very rarely you see draw.io or any of those things. Most organizations use Visio, Microsoft Visio. Do we all know Microsoft Visio? I think that Tosin talked about it in the BPMN class. Do we know Microsoft Visio, team? Because they may ask.
Yeah, he talked about it, but he said it's an expensive software to use, so we just stuck with draw.io.
Yes.
About draw.io.
Yeah. No, so that's fine. So draw.io, Lucidchat, they all do the same thing. Like they do similar things rather. So if you're able to use draw.io, you can jump on Visio as well. It's really like understanding the shapes, understanding how what the BPMN rules are, understanding how you need to put them together in a way that people can understand. So they're all similar tools I need to keep in mind. And lastly, I will talk about the organization. I like to talk about the organization, sorry, not lastly, second to the last, because especially if they've given you the problem statement, they've told you, maybe you've gone into an organization and they've said, oh, look, Tayo, we've just merged. There's actually a lot of integration work going on, which couple of our projects are still in discovery phase and things like that. I want to show to them that I'm listening. I listen to you. I've read your position description. Note that it may not come to you on the fly to leverage the information they will provide to you, but that would be on the job description. So if you want to go the extra mile, we've seen students that would go into an interview and actually nail the problem that organization is going through and talk about how their skills can help them come to like a really good place. And that is the differentiating factor between a business analyst that just goes blindly into an interview, never did any research about the company. You may be surprised if they ask you about mission and vision, for example, like what do you know about us? I was listening to an interview the other day and they actually asked in this person, like, so what do you know about the company? And the person just said, well, yes, I did read about your company, online. I know that you guys are, into health, health related things. And I'm just like, okay, that's not going to work. So when you already talk like that, they already know that you didn't even do the bare minimum. You didn't do your assignment. So at least on the eye level, if it's a bank, you want to know what they do. Like, what's your target market? What sort of products do they have in market? If it's in the health sector, what do they do? What are they really delivering? Things like that, always extremely important. So read the job description. Of course, you would see the company name, just a quick Google search. Who are they? Like, what do they do? And how can I talk about that in an interview in case someone says, Tayo, what do you know about this company? That would be extremely silly and non-professional if they ask me what I know about their company and I'm stuttering. That just doesn't look really good. I mean, they will say, no, it's okay. We'll just tell you about it. But yeah, you may get judged because you have no idea what they're doing. Noah.
I just want to talk about one. This is about taking initiative, which is in relation to what Kaya just saying, and why it's super, super important. So, as you're transitioning, do not, when we get to stage where, when we get to a stage where we are, getting a lot of interviews and we're going for these interviews, sometimes imposter syndrome can kick in, right? And say, oh yeah, do I actually deserve to be here? Am I up to scratch? There are other people that have more experience, etc. The story I want to tell you is one of our students that, of course, like showcase high level of taking initiative, right? So uh, for you to get a job, you must show initiative anyway. But I'm talking about high level, right? This person went to the company's website and looked about their, or not just mission statement, what they do, like normal,
LinkedIn, yeah.
went to look about their past project, their competitors, what their competitors are doing, what they have in their own roadmap, all of these things in the energy sector, insurance and energy sector that they're playing. I went to interview and told them, so when you're answering questions in interview, so it's linking it back to, oh, and I know that you guys have the vision to go green energy and this and that, right? I've seen the project on this that, the company has strategic vision to work on next year. Here is how my role as a business owner will contribute to this, and talked about that. Boom, boom. Like you can imagine. Now, it doesn't matter if he's competing with people that have 5 years, 10 years, Australian, Indian, Pakistan, whoever. He got like he passed that stage. He was successful, and the feedback they gave him, why I'm calling it out, is because again, I know, I get it. Most of us will do just the about us, just understand the product and where the company plays, and that's it. But it's criminal not to do that basic one. If you can't go to interview and not research the company, if you go to interview without researching the company, you're wasting your time, first of all. It's not going to work, right? So, to my point, they gave him feedback that even though we had some people who have 5 years, 10 years experience, there's just something about you taking initiative to do that extra research. There were some questions he didn't answer robustly as he should. But the key thing that stood out for them was the fact that, oh my God, you went and researched all of this information that we didn't hear anywhere throughout this interview, and even do an analysis of what our competitors are also doing.
Yeah.
That is boom. Think about it, hiring somebody, and that person shows a lot of initiative about what you do and your competitors. What will your perception be, even if they bump one or two questions, or because again, this is their first interview or second interview, right? It won't be perfect. So that is the kind of leverage that you can go there and use to shine. You want to have conversation with your friend. Why do you think that the conversation you have with your friend flows better? It's because you know them. It's because you rap with them, you have rapport with them. Now, if you're going to an interview with people you don't know, what do you want to do? You want to know a bit about them as much as you can, so that the conversation is more authentic. Like you're saying, oh, this, and I'm saying, oh, I actually checked and did this research about you and this thing you're doing. It gets me more interested to listen to you, like, oh, what do you know? Like, what do you know? But if it's just about selfishly, I go to interview, no preparation, and I want to get a job from you. Think about it. Would you give yourself the job? That is the preparation we are saying. So it is criminal for you to go to an interview and not do preparation and not research your company. Even some people research the people. If they put the people in the email, you go and check them on LinkedIn. They are there. Go and say, hey, just even see a face like, oh, okay, I'm going to be talking to this person. It does something to you. Just see their profile. Oh, this is kind of profile that will be on my interview. How can I even do research so that my answer is tailored towards something that will interest them? That is how you position yourself, and you really key on the unfair advantage. You need to think about what will I do that like 70-80% of the other guys I'm competing for this job would not do, and use that to double down and get the job. That is the mentality. Thank you.
Absolutely. So it just displays your interest in the organization and your power of research. It's always very important. Don't go anywhere blind. Like even if they don't ask you, you always want to nail it. And this person that Noah was talking about got a feedback that even it was interviewing with people with over 10 years of experience, and it beat them to it. And he had just fresh off the training, because he was saying really core things, deep things that made him very different from the crowd. Let's just go and tell them about myself. So it's always important that you display your interest in that company and the fact that you've gone to read about them. So not just your tools and your professional growth and all that stuff. Tell them something. I'll get them to think like, oh, when I interviewed for my current role, I told them about my, strong ethical awareness. Obviously, I'm working in a very heavily regulated company, so it would always be nice to have someone who has got that level of understanding like legal and compliance requirement, and how that fits into the puzzle. And just saying things like that, talking about customer centricity in that interview, where everything that we do is focused on our members, was very, very, what's a differentiating factor. And I recall the interviewer gave a comment and said, wow, I've actually never heard that before. That's a very brilliant thing to call out. So, it's always very important that you know who you're going to interview with. When you learn about them, if I know that, oh, it's just going to be, for example, if I'm going to an interview and I've checked them out and I see, oh, it's just someone from HR, I know that one will be focused on behavioral questions. Tell us how you deal with difficult stakeholders. How do you handle conflict? Nothing overly technical. If I see like a program director, I know that they would be more like overarching, like, okay, strategy and things like that. If I see a solution architect, I know that one will be very keen on, architecture, if infrastructure, what's my understanding of, maybe MuleSoft integration, etc., all those things. So it makes you know how to prepare, because you know the set of people coming to that interview, and that guides us as well. So most times when you guys start to attend interview, you would hear us ask for things like, can you send us the position description so we can ask you tailored questions, and we can guide you on some of the things that you need to keep in mind, based on the people that would be on the platform, that would be on the call with you. So it's always very important that you show that initiative. Which brings me to the last thing. When you go for an interview, you always want to leave an impression. Now, we've talked about the first, we're not talking about the middle part that would come in during your interview prep. How to answer some likely questions would give you answers, that you can just write down and talk about it in the same way that we've, given it to you, and you can, of course, buff it up and increase it and make it better. But when you get to the end of your interview, if you guys recall, I did mention that it's two ways. You get an opportunity to be interviewed. They also give you an opportunity to interview them. So it's two parts. Now, if your interview is for half hour, the first 2 to 3 minutes, they'll tell you about the company and what they're looking for, right? So that's 3 from 30. So that leaves you with 27. They will leave the last 10 as well for you to ask questions and for them to answer. So in theory, your half an hour interview is only going for about, let's say, 20 or 20 minutes or 18. It goes by so quickly. So you always want to ensure that you're prepared and ready. Most times that could be the only interview that you ever have to do if it's just a one round interview. If it's a two session, you go for the second one, and that's it, they make a decision. Oftentimes, if you make it to the second round, you stand a very good chance. If it's a 1-round interview, then that's it. You kill it in less than half an hour. You get your 140,000 job. You only have to work Monday to Friday. You get that well-deserved flexibility. You have your money, you have your weekend. You can spend Christmas at home without feeling like, I'm losing money today. I didn't get work. You can spend your New Year's Eve in church because you don't have to chase money. So it's always extremely important that I keep that in mind. So when you're leaving that interview, you want to leave with an impression. They would typically say something like, it's been really amazing, learning about your experience today, Tayo, and really, really fortunate to have interviewed you. Thank you so much for giving us some time. Have you got any questions for us? Or they would say, was there any burning thing in your mind that you'd like us to clarify? Or they can say, do you have anything that you'd like to share? Something like that. I would say, actually, no, thank you. No, I think you covered all of my question. That is an example of what to never say in an interview. Do not ever tell them that you don't have a question. The danger in doing that is it's going to be, number one, awkward, because they'll look at you like, oh, they'll be like, oh, okay. Well, we can round it up then. Thank you so much, Cosmas. We will get back to you. And they'll probably end our call like, okay, Cosmas is like, nah, God forbid. Okay. It won't be, I can see you on my towel. That's why I'm picking on you. I'm sorry. But really, what I'm trying to say is they will probably leave that interview like, wow, that's a little bit weird. Yeah, that's a bit unusual, So never tell them that you don't have a question. It makes you look unintelligent, for lack of a better word. Okay. So you always want to ensure that you go, again, part of your preparation. All of these things will not catch you by surprise, which is why you have us. We have banks of questions. Every interview would always start in a very similar way, which is either trying to gear you towards telling them your experience, what you've done, the type of project that you've worked on, what's interested you about the project. And it would oftentimes end with, have you got a question for us? Because they also understand that it's both ways. So I always want to ensure that I leave with an impression. I'm not going to tell an interviewer that I don't have a question. So I would prepare about 2 or 3 questions. Depends on how the interview goes. If they're very interesting, I would, go for it. So I will say something like, also, Tayo, have you got a question for us? Have you got any questions that you'd like us to clarify? We've got about 3 more minutes left. And I'll say something like, oh, yes, actually, thanks, Tosin. Thanks, Noah, for this opportunity. I've actually really learned a lot myself, and it's been an absolute pleasure being in this session with you all today. Thank you so much. I think I got about a couple of questions, if that's fine. I'm just being cognizant of our time, so I'll probably ask you 2 questions. Is that okay? And they will say yes. So then I would say something like, well, in my experience working as a business analyst, I feel like one thing is extremely important is me being able to deliver value. And as such, I would like to find out what would you consider success for someone who would be working as a business analyst in this role that you've mentioned, say in the first 90 days of their work with you? They will then answer. This question, you can also phrase it and say, or you shouldn't phrase it like this and say, thank you, Tosin, for the interview. How will my success be measured in the first 90 days? They've heard that question 1,000,001 times. So how you want to differentiate is the phrasing. You beat around, talk about what is important to you and why you're asking that question. That question is quite cliche, but it's extremely important, because if they haven't talked about some of your KPIs prior, they will talk about it once you ask them that question. So I don't just want to say thank you. So how will my success be measured in the first 60 days? Or thanks, Noah. So what are some of the challenges that your company is currently facing right now? Straight face, add emotions. It's just like, oh my God, sis, just slow down. So again, your phrasing is always very important. And the name calling, I always like to pick on someone during my session, especially someone that's, sounds a little bit sweet. It makes them feel special. And if I wanted to ask my second question, I would say something like, I may throw this one to you, Ayobami, if that's okay. And Ayobami will go, yeah, Tayo, that's fine. And I'll say something like, look, Ayobami, I just wanted to find out. I know that you mentioned that you've been here for about 10 years and you've worked for the company and you actually really love it. Can you tell me what you actually love most about working, with Justin Solutions? And Ayobami will tell you, oh, okay, no one's really asked me that question before, but yes, like I said, this company is this, they're focused on this, they're focused on that, They will market the company to you as well, tell you some of their perks. And Ayobami will tell you like what he really loves about the company. There's two parts to answering this question, right? I'm not going to go through all of it, but it's the phrasing. You don't just want to say, so yes, Chibundu, so how will you measure my success if I'm successful on this role? It's too direct. It's not very conversational. It doesn't really showcase your ability to just flow and be a business analyst that's got that people skill. So this is another opportunity to really show your people skills and a little bit of humor. Humor is good. I've been to an interview where I was actually asked, so I think she asked me, she said, oh, yeah, Tayo, I know that I did 3 rounds for that interview. It was actually a 3-round interview. I'd met with the first interviewer, which were the senior leaders, and I did another one with the program director, 2 different program directors. So because they were trying to see which one, so I could decide which of the programs of work I would go to. Now I got into that interview and it started off as a chit chat. And I said to her, I said something around the fact that she's like, oh, Taya, what have you been up to? What plans have you got for the weekend? Right off the bat, like the first thing she asked me. And I said to her, look, well, my weekend is going really smoothly. I'm actually very happy because I've been planning one of my friends' baby shower. And this weekend is actually the party. Like she doesn't know what gender she's having. So I'm really excited to be unveiling the baby's gender. I've done all of the planning right from the beginning. I told her the things that I put in place for that ceremony and all of those things. And that eased the 2 of us into that session before we even went into tell me about yourself. What am I trying to say? Don't be rigid in an interview. So if someone says, oh, what plans have you got for weekend? And that can happen. Interviews and like they're quite dynamic. Oh, have you got any plans for the weekend, Tejiri, before we delve into this session? And I just say, no, I don't have any plans because you're like nervous and you just want to get into this session. It's too serious. Sometimes some interviewers just want a little bit of an icebreaker so everyone would have fun. So, you can make something up. This is where you wear your creativity at. In my case, I did have a baby shower planning, but it wasn't that weekend. I just needed to say something. That's the first thing that came to my mind. I just said it was for the weekend. I talked about all the things that I'd done. So it's really just being flexible and not just going with, it's my tell me about yourself, bam, I need to deliver that. Of course, within reasonability, if you want to joke. But if someone's saying, like, listen to them. My strategy is, I have a pen in an interview, acknowledging that some people have very low retention skills. Sometimes if a question is too long, people can get lost. And if they start to talk about things that you haven't heard before, mentally, sometimes people can switch off in their head to say, oh, I don't know this question. There's no need to listen anymore. And then you get to the point where, so you need to answer the question, but you don't have anything. So it's always good, even if it's in person, you want to have like your pen. I'm just documenting the key points and the highlights, from the question that you're asking me. It helps you to stay structured and you repeat the question back to them again. Oh, just confirming, Tejiri, you're wanting me to clarify my elicitation technique skills. Is that correct? And Tejiri will say, yes, exactly, Tayo. That's what we're wanting to look for. Or it may say, well, actually, that's one part of the question, but I would also like you to then tell me, how do you synthesize the information that you collect from your stakeholders? That's a strategy to ensure that you really understand the question. If you feel like I haven't quite caught what Taya said, I think she talks too fast, you reiterate the question back to them, of course, confidently, rather than say something like, sorry, I don't get what you said, or I didn't get what you just said, or, I don't understand. You don't want to use words like that. I don't understand. It's like you don't know what they're saying. I didn't really get what you said. Can you say that again? Sorry. No. So rather than say that, I would say, oh, can I get you to please clarify the question which you've just asked me, just for me to get some more in depth about what you're wanting me to deliver, or what you're wanting me to respond to. And of course, you say that with all your confidence, and you say smiling. Anyway, I derailed a bit, but yes, it's always very important. Icebreakers are nice. Once you've told them to this point, once you've told them about this, where are you? So once you've told them about this, display your interest. Tosin likes this particular one where you talk about what you love to do outside of work. So it's always nice. It makes them smile. It makes you nice, and it makes everyone more personable. Like, it's like, okay, yeah, now this person is confident. This person is talking to us about what she loves. So you would say something like, after you've talked about your interest, maybe it's ESG, environmental social governance, and you've told them how you can really help them to promote those principles. You can then say, well, for me, outside of work, when I'm not busy analyzing problems and trying to find solutions, which is what I love to do as a business analyst, I do enjoy family time, and I also sing in my local church. So oftentimes I'll typically go out on a weekend to do some rehearsals. And someone in that session may say something like, oh, wow, you do sing? Oh, wow, what do you think, if that interests them? Or you play cricket? Oh, wow, I also do play cricket. Which team are you on? Da, 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 da. Icebreaker. Nice. They'll bant a bit, then get into serious mood again. So it's always nice that you don't see an interview as something that I just need to go and deliver my script and go. Have fun with it. When you have fun, they have fun as well. They're able to pen down and note down the core and the key things that you're saying, and it just makes this session very enjoyable to everyone who is listening. So it's always important. And some of the other questions that you could ask, again, this just so this doesn't look very bulky and big, we've just put eye level, but the delivery is what makes all the difference. You can ask this question in like 5 different ways. All of these questions, you can ask them differently. It's just the way that you phrase it, and the mannerism, and the way that you throw it at them. If there's 3 of them there, make them feel very, very special. I've actually got a question for all 3 of you, if that's fine. And they will smile and say, yes, go for it. And I say, okay, Tosin, I may throw this first one to you, if that's okay. You ask Tosin. The second one, you ask the other person. The third one, you ask the other person. So it's always very important. Do not go to an interview without having some questions ready for your interviewer. Leave an impression is the mantra. Does anyone have any questions? I know that this is a lot, and it's been like overload, information overload. Can see hand up. Pilot. You're muted.
Yes. So I just have a question regarding when you cited an instance of someone that gave an example of the project in NDIS. So would you advise that for every interview that we are taking, that we should have a pattern story that might suit into the sector?
Okay, that's a very brilliant question. Not particularly. The skills are very similar. So for what I'm trying to say is, for example, I would not start to look for a project in a particular sector if that's not part of what I have. If you can deliver it and really use the concept, your delivery is the same as a business, and it's similar as a business analyst on different project, right? So I don't need to necessarily tailor all of my project to suit their needs. It's really about what have I worked on in the sector that I was, and how is that relevant to what they're looking for? Does that make sense? There can be some advantage if you've got that domain knowledge, right? So for example, if you're working in the health sector and they're looking for someone who has got very, very good understanding of the NDIA, the agency, and you happen to have done something like that before, that puts you as a highly desired candidate. Do you get? But if someone comes on board and they're also able to display their understanding of that domain, because what? Because they've done their research, they know exactly what that company is looking for, and they're able to confidently talk about their skills, their competencies, their core BA skills, speaking to what the job is actually looking for. It's a free rein for all of us. Let the best man win. So you won't always have to tailor all of your all of your projects to the different domains, because then that would be tiring. But at least you want to have a structure. The concept is the same. You want to display an understanding of their domain as well. Like to that example that Noah gave, energy sector, he went in there and did some research because he didn't have experience. He hadn't worked in the energy sector before. But just hearing the comment that they gave him, this was not a formulated comment. This is real life that happened. It just really showed that most times, even you may get the chance or you may secure the job over someone who has got domain knowledge if they cannot really defend that knowledge. But you've gone there, even though you hadn't worked in energy sector, they've called you for a reason. Remember, pilot. So they've seen your resume, right? They've seen that, oh, Pilot doesn't have anything about energy sector, but we quite love what Pilot has done, and it's very similar to what we want. Do you understand? So they've seen your resume, they've called you, you wouldn't be, don't play the judge here. You don't have to look for all of my project has to be tailored to the domain that I'm interviewing for. It's really you displaying the understanding of that domain when you're talking, and then marrying it with your skills and competencies. Did that answer your question? All right, great. Let me see. Any other questions, team?
All right. This session is weight in gold. It is few months down the line that you would appreciate the value of this session. Because if you go back and implement this thing, the way we've said, you will get interviews. And the next step is about how do I then crush my interviews? We're there, guys. This is the real thing. You go and apply and stomp the market like crazy. Charles will not need to be at work, looking back and front and checking. You have freedom. And Bolaji will not have to be at work every single day. And Kemi and everybody else, 24 hours work. It is about to go down, but again, like with everything, you need a refined story. Like you need to be able to answer the question in a natural way, because you've not done it before, like work with the team and everything, but you've done the work of a business analyst, creating all these artifacts that you've done throughout the program, test case, business case, project plan, requirement document, etc. You are a business analyst and you have experience. And now, where you need to win is refining those answers, right? First of all, it's elevator pitch. How am I going to pitch myself in 90 seconds, 2 minutes, that will convince somebody that, yeah, I have the right person to hire here. It is not like the example Tayo gave first, right? Rumbling arms and the arms and no structure in your head. And we are not leaving you to chance to say, go and figure it out. And that's why we say part of the things you'll be doing next weekend as an assessment, you work on your elevator pitch. How do I want to present myself? If somebody asks me, tell me about yourself, about myself, how am I going to answer that question in 2 minutes? in a convincing way. Where am I going to draw my project ideas and the things that I've done from? Right? You've done different projects, different tasks throughout the training. All those things have to be synergized so you can marry the experience. Somebody asks you, tell me about myself. In 2 minutes, you can deliver that pitch in a way that is solid, but it is important that it requires practice. You say it to your wife, your husband, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your children. Everybody should know that you are at that phase of interview prep. Like you are recording yourself, you're rehearsing it, you're rehearsing question, how to prioritize, all those things I point out in class. Also understanding of requirement, user stories, walk me through how you draw a flow, walk me through how you develop a business case, things like that. You have your answers. If you go there and you display that, you're going to optimize your chance of getting that offer. It is no more a dream, it's just series of actionable steps that will help you and giving you a structure to crush. It's not like, training or just go away. Your CV from today to tomorrow, go and have a look again. You have fresher perspective now. Test it out on Seek. How can I test it? Take one job, try to implement it. Don't just watch again, try or watch it again, but watch and do it. Get a second screen or a second laptop, be playing the video and be doing it. Tailor your resume to that, right? It's not going to be perfect, but just play with that. It just switches in your head that yes, I can do this. When we give feedback, it will just be things around where you've worked, how much experience you should claim, and all of that. But the core skills and experience would always change, as we've demonstrated. You would need to be changing that based on the job that you're applying to. The base will change. We've given you the template that makes sense to use. No jargon, no design, nothing. It's just nice. The words are there, ATS friendly template. So you just need to, and we're giving you a guide on how to structure it. All the things there as duties, responsibility, achievement are things that you can be changing based on the job you are applied to. The other one is you just know that you claim Jacint 1 year, as I said, make it the most recent one so that when reference check comes, we can do the reference check for you too easy, right? And then claim if you've worked, most of you have worked in Australia or UK, put that company, even if you've not done a business analyst, just put the role of a business analyst. It doesn't matter. The person that will do your reference is us, right? So implement that, and then let's see. 60-day challenge starts now. So in the next 60 days, offers will start to land. Be among, because you've done the right thing. Please. Even if it doesn't happen in 60 days and you keep working, it's definitely going to happen. So all the best, guys. Let's go rest. And then tomorrow we'll crack on, talk about some projects, just to give you more perspective, and then we start to implement all these things throughout next week, and we will give you feedback. Again, remember, our referral bonus is still hot. Get yourself opportunity to get $100 per referral, successful referral. So tell your friends. Of course, you must believe in this first before you tell your friend. You believe that you've gotten value. Yes, please share the news. Our next batch is, this man just want to sleep. Pilot, don't don't worry, we're almost there. That conversation, you'll get that job now. It's real now, no waiting again. All right, thank you so much, everyone. You guys are fantastic, and then we see you tomorrow. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.